Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? How's it going? Happy Thursday. We're here again. We've made it to another almost the end of the week. Uh, Welcome. If this is your first time, my name is Javon Stokes, writer, artist, creator, podcast host. I'm a lot of things. And this is a Stoke podcast. Normally, there's a gentleman to my uh, there it is. To my left, your right. But he is moving late, but that's okay. We're going to keep it moving. This is a good show. We have a very special guest today, and I can't wait to get into it. I'm not going to hold him long, but as always, we got to get into the little business. So, as always, please go to visuallystoked.com if you haven't already and pick up your copies of Heat, your heat number one, heat number two, and also visual strong. And then as well, you can pick up the heat collection. I got copies now. Please hit me up. Website's right there. Um, hey Savion, how's it going? So yeah, pick up the copies. And as always, it was a great. I want to shout out to Northeast Collectibles and Comic Con. Um, I had a great time this past weekend there. There's Jamari. He was moving weight in the Florida Keys, so I'm glad he could finally join us. All right. So I was just saying how I had a great time in Northeast Collectibles. And
Put it like you did.
oh yeah, we had a good time. And so next week I will be at CT Collecticon. So that's one day, Saturday in Norwich. I'll have more information next week, but hopefully you guys show up. But we're not gonna hold our guest long. He's a busy man. So let me let me clear my throat. Tonight's guest is quickly becoming a heavyweight in Hollywood as well as the comic book industry. He's an award-winning writer and producer who's coming off one of his biggest hits in HBO's new series Winning Time, The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty. On top of that incredible accomplishment, he's an Eisner Award nominee for his awesome Image Comics series Philadelphia. An amazing writer and even better human being. Let's give a Stoked podcast round of applause to the incomparable Rodney Barnes.
What's going on, gentlemen?
Hey, thank
How
you.
you doing, sir?
Thank you.
How
Hopefully,
are
I
you?
brought you in well.
You did.
brought
That was a
you
great job. That was great.
Awesome.
That was
Thank you.
great.
Thank
I'm
you.
still here. If it's been bad, I just click leave and.
Oh,
So yeah, this was good.
Just slowly back out like the Homer Simpson meme. Just like,
Uh,
well, our guest is
Anyway,
not here
pause
anymore.
1 second.
Yeah.
All right, give me 1
All right, we're gonna give him a
second.
second. But
Uh,
yes, Comic Con was great.
hello.
Yep. We're gonna slide him off to the left. That's all right. Let him take his call in private. But yes, Comic Con was great. Last Comic Con was great. Sold over. You know me. I don't mind telling people numbers. So over 100 books in a weekend, in a small con, which is really good. And I'm looking forward to the next con. And just got into Fan Expo Boston, so I'll be there. Baltimore Comic Con. That those two tables are set. I'm working. Brooklyn Comic Con should be solid. Should be set soon. What else? Springfield Comic Con hopefully will be set. Terrificon should be set soon.
you stay at Terrificon. You should be a spokesperson for Terrificon.
Listen, shout out to Mitch Halleck. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but Terrificon is one of my biggest cons. I do great there every time. Every time. Connecticut shows love to me, and I showed love to Connecticut. Um, for those people that are just coming in, Mr. Barnes is he's taking a call. He'll be right back on. You know, he's got business. He's a busy man. So we're just talking cons. I'm just letting y'all know where I'll be. And then there's a few other cons that I'm trying to Diaspora Con. I would like to do. I'm be at Comics and Color Festival as well. Geez, and that's in April. Man, I'm trying to get into Philly Expo, Philly Fan Expo. There's another one that I just found out about, which I'm tempted to do, called Contropolis.
Contropolis. Okay, that's
Yeah, it's in there.
real
They got a
new.
bunch of them. Yeah, there's one in Philly. There's one in Massachusetts. So I'm thinking about if I can't get into Fan Expo Philly, I'm gonna do I'm gonna probably try and do Contropolis and still hit Philly, that Philly market instead. Um, so yeah, that and then oh man. So I mean this is my summer. So I've decided that this summer I wanted to like try to make as much money as possible.
Hey,
I'm still trying to do Dragon Con. Granite State Comic Con I want to do. There's another one I found out called Mice. It's a smaller con, but it's 3 days. It's at a college. It's 2 days. So what is this? Oh. So hold on. We gonna Jamari has some imagery he wants to share. And
pick
so
either
I'm
one.
gonna no, I can do both. I can do both. I just
I
need
mean, it's
to
the same information. So
just need to and this con I'm trying to do. Actually, I looked today and the flight prices. Okay, we're gonna bring Mr. Barnes back in.
yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, hey, listen, man, you got
Emergency
business,
to
man.
deal with, but thank you for allowing me that grace to be able to answer that call.
Hey, man, no problem, man. Business is business.
Yep.
And you know, for you, business is booming right now. But we're gonna get to that. Uh, um, for this show, the biggest thing of this show is I love to talk to people about their journeys, their creative journeys,
Mm-hmm.
their career journeys, and how they got from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I always start with a very similar question to everybody. So I'll start with you as well. Now, you are mostly known as a writer. When did your love of writing begin?
Wow, it's a big question. I mean, I think I've always, as long as I can remember from childhood, had an appreciation of writing and words and all of that. I don't think it was as clear as like I love to write. Like you have some people who they were writing stories as kids on a regular basis and, that type of thing. I think I was always creative. Um, it sort of was all meshed together. I like to draw, I like to read, I like to write short stories. There were a myriad of things that were sort of cobbled together. But I had a teacher tell me, I think it was in the eighth grade, that if I ever took writing seriously, I could be a good writer. And I didn't take it seriously from that moment, but I appreciated that he said that. And it
Right.
stuck in the back of my head of, okay, someone is validating me as being able to do something well. And so, I sort of went through life and was like, if this thing works out, and well, if other things, I tried other things. I tried to be an athlete. That didn't work out because I wasn't good at anything. I tried to be a professional wrestler. A lot of people don't know that. That didn't work out
Really?
either.
Oh, we're gonna
Yeah.
circle back.
Yeah, of course. That seems to grab people's attention. And then once I realized that my body was just big, it wasn't talented. Then I said, maybe let's try to give this creative thing a shot.
Okay.
And I think my personality and my ability to stay focused on any one thing would never have worked at a regular job. I just wasn't built that way. When I was a security guard, I was the worst security guard ever. You could steal anything on my shift. I would go to sleep as soon. That was my job. Instead of
Oh, wow.
patrolling, was to find places I could sleep. Um, so I think eventually getting to Hollywood and really pursuing writing was sort of what I was meant to do.
That's awesome. Did you have any favorite writers in your younger years?
Oh yeah. I always loved Richard Matheson and Stephen King. Those are my favorites as far as horror was concerned. I love James Baldwin, Gloria Naylor, J. California Cooper. There's a bunch of writers that I've
Okay.
loved for the better part of my life. I was always a voracious reader, and I think reading and writing sort of go together. In comics, my first love was art. Like I love Neil Adams and Bernie Wrightson and those guys. And then as I got older, comics sort of took on a literary focus and it became more serious with Frank Miller and Daredevil and Dark Knight Returns. And then Alan Moore with V for Vendetta, Watchmen, Miracle Man, Swamp Thing.
Mm.
Um, Neil Gaiman with Sandman and Miracle Man, and it was like those things that made me think and sort of added an classic literature to the superhero genre and horror elements to the superhero genre in a serious way. Those things grabbed me as well, and that was when I first started to think about possibly writing comics. Was certainly with Swamp Thing, Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. That moved me a lot. That really was sort of that grabbed my attention very early on.
Yeah, it's funny. What's up, Danny? Danny Quick, building, good guy. One of my co-hosts from my other podcast that I'm on.
Hey, Danny.
Danny wants to get to know you as well. He wants to be your friend.
What's up, Danny? I need friends. I have a very small circle. I need friends.
Danny wants to be your friend. Yeah. But you know what's funny? I just started. I was just talking about this on another podcast that I just started to collect that Alan Moore Swamp Thing run. Mm-hmm. And I knew about it when I was younger, but I never
got it right here. I keep it close to me at all times.
Oh no, that's is that the Moore or is that Len Wein?
That's Len Wein and Bernie Wrightson, but I got all four of them right.
I've got to get in that series.
Yeah, I've got all four. But yeah.
Danny's he looks just like him. I know. He looks just like Rodney Barnes. Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. I do.
But yeah, Alan Moore's work he's one of my favorite writers. Top 5 for me. And the way he does horror is like it's like I'm learning it. I didn't read it before. Like I'm reading it now in my 40s. And so I think I have a better appreciation for it than I would have if I had read it when I was a teenager or a 20-year-old. But he has such a it's like, I don't know, this is how I feel about it, but it's like it feels hopeless when you're reading it, but then out of nowhere he'll give you like a kernel of hope.
Right.
And then he'll throw some dirt back on there and it'll be hopeless as well. But I think that's like part of good horror. And I know, I'm assuming that you're a big horror fan.
Yeah, huge horror fan. I think with Moore, in the same case with Stephen King and Richard Matheson, even though he was a little older, what they were able to do was humanize and make more character studies out of horror, whereas I think the earlier stuff was more about the monster or the antagonist. And the more they made it about people and personalized it, and that was the thing that sort of drew me in character-wise, because I love characters. I love character-driven stories. If you ever read Philadelphia, it's more of a character-driven story than a plot-driven story. Thank you. There you go. I've seen that book before.
I mean to interrupt, but I had to search high and low for this.
Yeah.
I could not find it
over here. I've got Switzerland.
Yeah. I could not find it. I was looking everywhere for the
Amazon. Always go to Amazon.
I was trying. I know. I'm still old, so yeah. I kind of want to go and have the book in my hand, and I like to support my comic book stores.
Me too. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely.
So I was just like, I kept going to them. They're like, "Well, we've got 2, 3, and 4," and I'm like, "Well, that doesn't really help me."
Unless you want 2, 3, and 4, but yes.
Unless I want 2, 3, and 4, yes. And then I'm jumping in the deep end.
Yes.
But yeah. I mean, I'm Jamari knows that I'm a big horror fan, so we could definitely get into that. But before I go, Jamari, go ahead, man. Can you hear me?
Being that you are a horror fan, it seems to be a big, that's definitely a big element for you. What do you think of current trends for horror right now? In media in general.
Okay. In comics, I think, it's a lot of great stuff. Tinian, James, Something is Killing the Children, and Slaughterhouse Five. You got some Ice Cream Man. You got so many great books coming out in the horror space. I think in movies, it's touch and go. It's like we have a lot of Blumhouse stuff, which I dig. But I think the bigger prestige things still seem to lay more into Stephen King, and those types of things. Curious to see what The Exorcist is going to be, the remake, and Salem's Lot remake. Um,
You're doing another remake of Exorcist?
yeah, they just finished. They just wrapped
Oh,
not too long ago.
I didn't know that.
Um, it's trendy, that horror thing. I like seeing some more Brown stories being told, and things that are sort of, I won't say diverse in the way that those stories are told, but not so much just built on the idea of race, but actually the characters that are in it. I mean, I think Jordan Peele does a great job with some of the things that he does. Us was about a family and relationships and different things, but I think being able to just have across the board a myriad of stories from different perspectives and different entry points. I think that's the beauty of horror. And now that, we sort of live in a world with social media where everybody's got a platform and every subgroup within our culture sort of has a voice. It would be great to get stories from those different groups. So, I think it can have a unifying quality of perspectives and understanding. So, yeah.
There's a great film, a horror movie. Man, I want to say it's called His House.
Okay.
It's
Haven't
it's
heard
like
of
a
it.
married couple, and they from Africa, and they're in like England, I think,
Hmm.
and they're able to get like a home, like they're displaced, so they're able to get a home, but the home is like haunted. Like I think it's on Netflix. It's a really good one.
Hmm.
African couple. But it really it really does tie into the diversity that you're just talking about.
Hmm. Hmm.
Savion would like to know any good horror comics you might suggest that are worth a read outside of
Again,
Philadelphia.
again, something is killing the children. I like the new Creep Show anthology. What else am I thinking about? I like what Ram V is doing with Swamp Thing. All right, yeah, there you go.
Somebody just gave this to me this weekend.
There you go. I mean, Ice Cream Man. It's a bunch of things, and probably when we get off of here, I'm gonna think of seven more. Just because that's how my brain
Savion,
works.
I got you, man. I'll put you on quite a few. Image Comics is really good for horror right now. Like,
Yes,
yeah, they're
yes,
really good for horror.
yes.
Oh,
That sounds
Jenny
great.
says that never thought comics would be scary, but the second is Nanya, the Weird Spider book by Greg Ellisay changed my opinion on that.
That's
Yeah,
true.
shout
Greg,
out to him.
he's incredible. He's a
Oh
great
yeah,
writer.
that's my guy,
I dig
man.
him. I dig
Yeah,
him.
yeah. So I want to get into some other stuff, but I would like to talk about like what's your writing process? Like
Mm.
how do you get
I'm
started? How do you
curious
get
about that
from,
myself.
I
like
wish
how do
I
you
knew.
structure your
Um, Whoever's the maddest at me that morning is sort of who I approach. Uh, I'm going through a period of procrastination right now, but
We all have those.
I sort of I try my best to back away from it sometimes. I'm pretty disciplined. I mean, I write every day, whether I feel like it or not. It's easier said than done. I remember reading that Stephen King wrote 4 hours a day, and I was like, I'm gonna write 4 hours a day. Um, and now I kind of write 8 to 12 hours a day,
Oh
and
wow.
it's a television sort of necessitates that. When I was working on My Wife and Kids, which was my first TV gig,
Oh wow.
that sort of helped me frame a writing schedule because it was like a job. Like we went in Monday through Friday, and we went in at 10, and we ended around 6, and that was sort of how I framed the way my writing schedule would work. Um, I just think that I write comics in the morning from 7 to about 10. I'm writing Jack Johnson now, midday. I go
Okay.
back to finish the comic that I started in the morning at night until it's time to go to bed. And I do that every single day.
Wow.
On the weekends, I typically write movies. Like I've got a movie at Netflix I've got to finish a rewrite on. I've got another movie that I have to start and I'm trying to get in before May. Um, I'll figure out a way to do that. And I've got a bunch of one-shots for Philadelphia that I have to finish that I haven't started on. I just got a text from my editor, Greg, trying to poke me. It's hard when you're in charge and then
Yeah,
you
and
still
you got to
are
be
editor
poked.
at the same time. It's like he's trying to be kind, but he's pushing me at the same time. But it's just nonstop. It keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. There isn't really, I wish I could say that I had this rigid structure, but there's always something that pulls me away that sort of brings me back because I produce too.
Right,
So,
right.
like, I have this horror podcast that I'm doing, and we had to record the first episode this morning, and that took 2 hours out of my day. So I had to go record the podcast, come back. I'm still in the mode of the podcast, calls all day, y'all. But somehow, when I'm done this, I'll figure out how to eke out 4 or 5 hours.
So so when let's say you're laying down a story script, movie script, comic script, whatever, do you outline or do you just kind of like write?
I outline, well, it's the comics I outline in my head. I have an idea because it's only 20 pages or so. So I pretty much know the beginning, the middle, and the end before I start. And then sometimes as I'm writing, it takes a life of its own. It sort of goes off in the direction it wants to go off. I know the theme, I know the direction I want to go in, and I just take each page as a story because
Okay.
you want a good page to be its own experience. And so the next page is another one. It connects to the other one, but it's its own experience, unless it's an action thing and you've got a fight that's going on for 2 or 3 pages. But as far as story is concerned, narrative, um, I try to take each page as its own experience until I get to 20 and then finish.
But do you actually have like a outline for like movie
Not
and
for
TV
yeah,
scripts?
I've got to do that. Yeah,
Okay.
I've got
All
to
right.
do that because my assistants have a tendency. I kind of use them to keep me accountable, and work through they work through giving me notes, and they sort of have to know the material as well as I know the material. So as I'm turning things in, like Jack Johnson is a lot of history. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to make sure that dates, fighters, stadium settings, everything sort of fits not only um, the part of the narrative that's supposed to be entertaining, but it's actually factually true as well. And then I have friends who are historians, and I'll send it off to them as well. But I have to structure that in a much more tighter thing because the accountability is different.
Now, before I go to Jamari, how much of your time? I love talking process because I'm always like kind of comparing my own, so that's in my head. But how much of your time is research? Because I'm, winning time. I know had to have taken a ton of
Yeah,
research.
Wedding
You
Time
know,
was different because we had a lot of books and we had things given to us, and it was just a matter of sitting there going through it all. And we had researchers and we had people who would give us all of that stuff. Um, so that was that. Um, and I think for the other things, my guy, I read 4 books about Jack Johnson, everything that was available, watched the documentary a dozen times. But also, I have researchers who go out and sort of hunt information down and find different things and obscure facts and things that I might be able to use. But it's ongoing, and it comes from a myriad of directions because, Philadelphia has history attached to it. Um, most of the stories that I write that deal with history, I try to do as much of a foundation of truth within the history, and then I sort of veer off into the fantasy, but the fantasy is connected to the truth. So in order to have a foundation of truth takes research.
right?
So researchers everywhere. That's always a great gig for someone in my life is to, hey, go read this book, find out this thing. I need some information.
Okay, good. So I'm gonna make Jamari my research guy. I need one.
There you
Um,
go.
go ahead, Jamari.
Honestly, to be perfectly honest with you, that wouldn't be the worst thing for me because I love the minutia of which is going to be part of what my question is. I want to ask you about characters. What do you think makes a character compelling you talked about humanity when it comes to horror. So I'd imagine that this is something that you'd at least have some thoughts about.
Yeah, I mean, each of the characters, I mean, I look at Philadelphia again as an example because there's so many characters, and I try to give each one of them distinctive human traits that are relatable. You know, you have your insecurity, you have fear, anger, you know, how they think, how they talk, you know, how they operate. If it's something that's familiar to um, the reader, you know, that this feels like a real person, it's easier to drive home the narrative and to scare you if that's the goal, or to make you feel some type of way. If you have some relatable, if the characters feel real, you're more apt to feel the emotions that they feel.
So now that you brought something up, I was thinking, rolling around in my head, what scares Rodney Barnes?
Um, well, I mean, there's intrinsic things, you know, as far as my own mortality and not being able to get done in this life what I'm trying to accomplish. There's that, which is all ego based because it doesn't matter. And
Right.
at the end of things, it's like you get an obituary with a bunch of words under it, and you hope you did some work that made somebody's life a little easier or better. But in the grand scheme of things, it was just something to do. And then you have your extrinsic things like caring about family and friends and the world and your culture and all of that stuff. I mean, I think, you know, you always, America at times can be a fear based society. We sort of run off of, you know, what's the next thing to be afraid of. And,
Right.
um, you know, how that fear manifests itself sometimes can be very, very ugly. So, you know, there are things that scare me. Like I said, the inside stuff and the outside stuff. We'd be here all day long if you know, we talk about the things that scare me because you know I'm a chicken. But
Hey, listen.
Oh,
Hey, listen. You're talking to somebody that has arachnophobia. Big
there you
time.
go. I
Big
ain't
time.
that bad. I ain't that bad. I can see it. My kids are afraid of spiders. I've
No, I
killed
mean
them.
I could kill him. I've
Um,
reached a point in my life where I can kill him now.
my
But
kids would get frustrated because I would actually try to save them and put them outside because I don't like killing anything. I don't like killing anything. You have to make me awful mad. You have to bite me. If you bite me, then I'll kill you. But if you don't
so
bite me, there you go.
we're the reverse. My kids would want me to save it, and
There
I'm
you go.
like, where's my
You got
shoe?"
good kids. You got good kids.
I'm like, "Where's my
Kids
shoe?"
have a good heart,
This thing's
empathetic
got to.
heart.
Nah, he's got to go. It's me. It's them or
No,
me.
man, no. It's a miracle. It's a miracle that thing that
So,
exists.
I'll tell you a quick story. I don't know if I've told this story before on this show, and then I'll get in. We'll get into Philadelphia. But speaking of fear, so my wife and I went on this trip to Mexico, and we're
Mm.
driving to I think the Mayan ruins in a big van with a bunch of other people, and the driver. Yep, you darn right. The driver stops in the middle of this dirt road, and we're like, what is going on? He gets out the car and he like walks around, and he like in the front of the car, he bends down, and once again, we're all sitting in the van like, what is he doing? Comes to the door, comes to the side. He's like, listen, I was driving and I saw this is a tarantula. And I mean, this thing it was big, it was almost the size of his hand.
They're big over there.
Yeah. And so my wife and everybody in the van is like leaning in to try and see it. And my wife, who's sitting to the opposite of where the spider is, she's trying to lean over and have the guy bring it closer. And I think I might have dug 3-inch divots into my leg. I
As
was in
long as you
my
didn't hit her. As long as you didn't hit her with that. But yeah. Or scream.
no.
Or
Nope,
scream.
no screaming. But in my mind, I'm sitting here going, if this spider falls on me, I might have to look into a lawyer, like, because
You
this.
probably don't want to go. Don't go to Africa then. Don't go to Africa.
oh
I,
boy.
Things over there.
I want to
No.
go, but I'm staying in the resorts.
Yeah, I stayed in the resorts, and you still can't. You
Oh
can't
God.
abandon the experience.
Oh
So yeah.
jeez.
A
Oh
lot of
man,
big bugs. A lot of big bugs.
I can deal with big
Ooh.
bugs. The
No, I'm
spiders,
saying
man.
spiders. That's a
Jesus.
bug. It's a big. I mean, I was
Oh
out in
man.
the middle of the jungle, so they don't
Woo.
like say this is the
Oh.
non-spider area.
This is
You
not
know,
that
so spiders
Africa is
everywhere.
not the place for me then.
Yeah,
we gotta
Mm-mm.
no.
we
I
got to,
stayed. How was
oh
it?
my
I don't
god.
know if it was the Gorgon Crater or the Serengeti. It was one of them. I stayed in the jungle, and it was a beautiful place. But if you turn the lights on, all of the bugs would come to the net because you have to have a net around your bed, and they were all
Yo.
there. So it was like it was the movie The Mist, but I think Jurassic Park. Like it had like everything looked primal, primitive. You know. So yeah,
Where's my list of places not to visit? Not to
yeah.
visit. Scratch that
Mhm.
right off.
Uh,
Oh Jesus. Oh man, that just made me feel like I'm
Yeah,
literally gonna be
that's
like looking
different.
around now.
That is
Oh
yeah.
definitely
man.
different.
Oh,
Interesting, fascinating, but absolutely terrifying.
that sounds like the scariest thing in the world to me. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. That sounds like the scariest thing in the world to me. So we're gonna change subjects because now I'm gonna have the worst dream ever tonight. Philadelphia.
Yes.
I started reading it today. It I'll say this, the tone that you start this dread,
Uh-huh.
it's like immediate. And it's just amazing that you're able to get it that quickly. But it also I love the fact that it's a story, it's a generational story,
Hmm.
the father and the son, because I love stories like that, especially since I've become a dad myself. Where did the idea come from? Like, where was the genesis of it?
Um, a couple of places. I mean, I when I was coming up, I loved the Night Stalker and the Night Strangler and Salem's Lot, the miniseries as a
Oh
kid,
yeah, love them.
and always had a vampire thing. And I love the Hammer films with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing and the
Mhm.
Universal Monsters, Dracula, Werewolf, Frankenstein. And I never saw us. I never saw us at the heart of the narrative. Um, and I never really understood that, but it was frustrating. I think the first time I saw us in a substantive way was when my mother took me to see Blackula, and but other than that, it was a cab driver who would pop up from time to time, but doorman, but nobody who was like part of the narrative. So I always said in the back of my mind, if I ever got an opportunity, not really taking it seriously, what kind of story would I tell? And initially, when I was a kid, it was different versions of things I'd already seen. And then when I actually started to write, um, I would start to sort of that thing that we talked about with Stephen King and other writers, where you start to make it personal. I found that the more personal I made my stories and the more cathartic I made my stories, I was able to add more me into the narrative. And people responded differently than when I was just doing a plot driven story. And so, it became this thing of where, well, fast forward, my father and I always had a estranged relationship. It was love. I won't say dislike, but it was always tension between us. We didn't come up, I didn't grow up with my father. I saw him a few times throughout my life until I was 17 when I went to live with him. And it was always difficult. And even later on, it stayed that way. So he passed away not too long ago. And I remember having this thought that if we'd had more time, would we've been able to sort of make peace, because he had gotten older, I gotten older. I had more perspective once I had children on what it meant to be a father, um, so on and so forth. And so the more I thought about it, I was like, okay, what would give you all the time in the world? Immortality. And the heart of the story was, even with more time, it's still dependent upon both parties to want to make things better. You could have
Right.
all the time in the world. And the Anne Rice books with Louis and Lestat and Armand and
Love them.
all of those characters, the nature of their interpersonal dynamics, were always problematic. They were heightened more so than what I do, but there was something in the way that they would betray each other, come back together, betray each other, blah 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 blah. So I decided to settle in on this father son story, and this father and son who happened to be working together at some point. Dad, spoiler alert, is a vampire, and son and dad have to work together to bring down our big bad, but along the way, hopefully solve whatever issues that they're dealing with as men, and men in general, black men specifically. Um, and so I figured I knew a lot about the problem, issues my son may have with me, and stuff I had with my dad. That was the beginning. And then, having been divorced, I looked at Abigail Adams and John Adams' story, and I was like, okay, marriage is hard enough, and within the vows, as till death do us part. What if you're immortal? How does that affect marriage? Because there is no death. You just go on and on and on. And Abigail and John got married when patriarchy was probably at its height in America, because women couldn't vote, didn't have rights, so on and so forth. John Adams, through the history books, is said to have been progressive. He didn't own slaves, and his wife had a real voice in politics. Raised a president, another president, and John Quincy, and a political family. It was seen in many circles to be the brains of the outfit. And so, if that were the case, and you have all this aptitude and all of this stuff, but you live in a society where you can't really express it or self-actualize because it's a world of men. So, how would that play out if you had 200 plus years to be able to walk through history? And now you live in a world where women do have rights, they do have a stake, and now you have immortality in perspective. You're armed with all of that. How would that marriage and that dynamic sort of work? That was from Abigail's side. From John's side, he wants to make America great again, but in the guise of what the founding fathers saw the world as being. And now looking at it from the idea of democracy to sort of an oligarchy, where guys who are billionaires and the uber rich sort of control the winds of how America works. Um, so that was that story. And then Seesaw, our other main character, was sort of the voice of the street. A lot of times when you see these stories, the brother that's just the brother is sort of diminished. And I think that's reflective upon how in media, you see shows like The Wire or Snowfall or all these shows, and guys are smart, but their intelligence is relegated to whatever the task is, whether that's nefarious things or what have you. Typically, they aren't the smart guy. And
Right.
so I wanted Seesaw to be actually the most powerful person in the book, but it's a subdued power. It's a power that he wields responsibly, and it's connected to him emotionally. I wanted to give him a lot of range of perspective and awareness and emotion, and really create a character that I felt is probably more true than not, but invisible in the idea of in popular horror. So that's sort of the main cast and crew, and then we have this ongoing story of, and eventually, I don't want to spoil it for you because you didn't buy 2, 3, and 4. You only
I'm
bought one.
getting there. Don't
So
worry.
it's all right though. It's all right.
I'm
But
getting there. Don't worry.
in volume one, I wanted
Let me
just the
finish.
story. There you go. In volume one, I wanted to just deal with introducing everybody and setting up the world, but doing it in a way where it didn't feel like I was introducing everybody and setting up the world.
Right, right. That's like one of the hardest things,
And generational trauma. I wanted to show um, it's a big thing right now about critical race theory, and how people
Excuse me.
sort of debate it and discuss it and all of these things and stuff. I wanted to show and personalize and humanize the idea of generational trauma, because a lot of my characters are hundreds of years old and they can't shake that pain. And I wanted that to manifest in a human way, like at the echo of um, who they still were. Like my vampires, the difference. I always felt like vampires in general were leaving a lot on the playing field. Like they can live for thousands of years, but all they want is blood. Then I was like, yeah, what if there was something else? And so, if you've ever been in therapy, therapy suggests that our childhood sort of paint the idea of who we become as adults. And I wanted who you were as a human being to sort of paint the idea of who you were as a vampire.
Oh,
So
nice.
while you're going through this blood search and immortality, you still had the echo of who you were as a human being walking with you, and you can't really shake that. Some can, but they were already on the sociopathic, narcissistic, psychopath spectrum to begin with, probably as a human being. It's just vampirism, like they say, power brings out who you really are.
Right.
So yeah, that's Philadelphia in many, many words.
Those are great words. I mean, I got to be honest with you.
That you gave a pitch to something without giving a pitch, and now I'm going to be behind him getting volume 1, probably volume 2 and 3 online. Yeah, so
I'm assuming you've done that pitch before, though.
No, that wasn't
No?
a pitch. That was kind of a pitch. That was not a pitch. I mean, the only time I've ever talked about it in that way is when people ask me, or when I was pitching a TV show. But that was
That's
still
what I
more of a
mean.
conversation. But they'd already read the books,
Oh,
so they
okay.
knew what it was. It was just a matter of them asking me, how do I see it moving forward? But it wasn't a thing of, it wasn't a thing of, pitching.
Now, I mean, you could have used any of the movie monsters. Did you feel that, do you just like vampires more, or
No.
did you feel like it was more malleable within your concept?
But vampires can remember, can think, I don't know if they can feel, but they're the predator with some idea of identity. Frankenstein is sort of an antiquated idea in the Mary Shelley form. The Mummy is slow. Wolfman is sort of a wolfman, so he wakes up, and what the hell did I do? And zombies are zombies. I think the zombie world is sort of between The Walking Dead and The Last of Us. I have a story that 20 degrees past rigor, my zombies can talk, but even still, they're not vampires. And so I just think that vampires have so much mythology in so many different forms. You got your sexy karate vampires.
Sexy
they took
karate.
the karate. Yeah, they take karate classes and they learn techniques and while they get blood. You get your androgynous stripper vampires. You got your sad vampires, your lonely ones, and so it's different groups, different types. It's according to who's doing it.
Right.
Some scared of the cross. Some don't care. Most
way
of
too many of them are Confederate soldiers.
Yeah, well, they have, it's according to what it is. It's according to, I have my Confederate soldier vampire, but for the most part, it's you can play with the mythology, and I think for me, it's trying to evolve the space and bring it into more of a spiritual thing, because where the body is a prison to this other thing that's happening within both in science and in the dark realm. So I just felt like vampires were the perfect conduit to the types of stories I wanted to tell.
It's funny when you said karate vampires. Literally, I went to Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Well, there's
in my
Blade.
head.
I worked
Blade.
on Blade. That was the first job I had in Hollywood. And,
Which with the TV show or the movie?
No, the movie.
The first one.
The first one. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And so that was that was the karate vampire. Like he learned karate and had knives and was well trained for being a daywalker. He was well trained, but everybody else knew Frost. Rest of them knew karate too. Everybody knew karate
right off the bat.
Yes, I don't know. Like I said, they got a vampire karate class and something. I don't know how they learn it, but they got the sexy leather to go with it. So they're gonna have a tailor to do that. Underworld, they got the sexy ones with the long coats and the Lost Boys, and everybody sort of has their own fashion statement that they're making.
Right.
Like, as a vampire, how you learn to ride a motorcycle? I don't know. Do you have a license?
Now I feel like you need now you need to write a story about the first vampire karate dojo or something.
Yeah.
Man, that
with a vampire Mr. Miyagi to smack you upside the head and, get on you, and you can't have no blood if you don't act right, and so it's a lot of things you could do with that. Yeah.
Danny says when the vampire bites you, the infection comes with a black belt.
Well, that's too. That could be in you, like the soul of the teacher is in the blood, and so That's how you know karate. I don't know.
I always assume that, like, when Buffy the Vampires, when you bite you, like like you get the memories of
Mm,
you know legions and legions of vampires that came before you, because that's the only reason
okay.
why they could just die and then roll up.
Avatar vampires now.
There you
Yeah.
go. There
I
you
mean,
go.
it's sort of like, I put it more reactionary, sort of like Spider-Man. Peter Parker gets bit, and now he can crawl the walls and all of that. So maybe it's a similar thing as well. Who knows? Who knows?
A bite and a black belt coming soon from Image Comics.
You never know. You never know.
You just get
You never know.
$1 million idea.
I got a bunch of them. I got a bunch of ideas. They keep
So,
coming.
are you looking to do another horror comic, or do you want to
Oh,
do
I got
something different? Or
no. I mean, Zombie Love Studios, my studio.
right?
We got 6. I'm looking to my whiteboard. We got 6 more horror books.
Wow.
Ooh.
Horror of different types, different ghost stories, different things, different stuff, monsters.
No
Yep.
desire to jump into the superhero realm or sci-fi
Well, I
or
did.
anything.
I did Falcon. My book
That's right. I
Monarch
have
right
that.
now.
See, I have that.
There you go.
I got your whole series. I was
Thank
very
you.
upset when they
Monarch is a
oh yeah,
sci-fi
yeah. I
alien
just saw
attack
that.
thing.
I just
Um,
saw that on Twitter today.
so yeah, I already do those things. Quincredible. I do the Star Wars book. I do Mandalorian. I already do those things.
Well, I mean, like, you developing your own superhero.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if how many superhero books do we have right now in the world?
That's
I
true.
mean, how many? How many?
That's true. That's true.
It's like one more
A lot.
superhero. To me, it's not about necessarily the superhero. It's the world that the superhero inhabits. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. There are a lot. You just walk into any Comic Con, you'll see there's a lot of them. I'm one of
It's a
those.
lot of them. It's a lot of them.
So this is the second question about Blackula. Danny wanted to know, is it out yet?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. We've been
It's
out for
on
a month,
Amazon.
5 weeks. Sold
Okay.
out the first printing.
All right. So Danny, there's your question. So you already established that you had a love for Blackula previously. So when you jumped at it, is this story, like, is this a new story? Is this an original story, or is this
It's a new story. It's a new story.
And it looks like you were trying to stick as close to the original character.
Yeah,
as possible.
it's a sequel to the movie.
Okay, all right. No, you didn't. No desire to, like, let me update him. Give him.
He is updated. It's
Well,
a
I mean,
sequel
like,
it's a modern day thing.
Oh, okay, all
story.
right.
Yeah.
See, listen, man.
You got to read these things.
I'm trying really hard not to spend a ton of money, and you are killing me right now.
No, you got to read.
Because I'm like, I got a finger on Amazon.com. I know, but you got.
I got to tell you.
I know, but I was just telling somebody else. Like, there's so much stuff when I go to Comic Cons, and I have to, like, restrain myself, and I'm like, look, I can't buy this. Because you're just eating into profit margins here.
I get it.
I mean, it's so. Before I get into winning time, you do go to cons. What's your favorite con, and what's your most favorite experience at a con to date?
I don't really have a favorite. I mean, I think they're all sort of the same experience to lesser or greater degrees. I think for me, it's more of just, connecting with people. People are cool. I'm always surprised when I go around the country and the world that people have read the books and appreciate the work. And, I'm always grateful for that. For somebody who didn't do this for a living and now does, it's always good to have people invested in what you do.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good deal. So winning time. I got to talk about this. We got to talk about the Lakers. Before I go any further, are you a Lakers fan?
I appreciate the Lakers. I don't think I look at pro basketball the way that I did growing up because it was a different game before free agency. Like I grew up in D.C., but I was a 76er fan because I love Dr. J. And So it was more of a thing of where when you were on a team, typically you stayed on a team your entire career. It was a big deal if there was a trade. Like it was rare if some huge star was traded from someplace. So it was easier for me to be a fan of it because there was a sameness to it.
Right.
Now, if you're a Kyrie fan, you sort of he might who knows next week he might be on another team. It's like they move so much that the whole league is a completely different league. So that's the same thing with the Lakers. It's like they got a whole new team now, except for AD and LeBron. Like a month ago, there was a completely different team. So
Yeah.
unless you're a homer for your regional team because you live there. For me, it's just an appreciation of the game. I love the game, and you just want to see a good game. I have some players like a big time Golden State Warriors fan because of the way that they play. But if Denver comes on right now and they're playing well, it's just good play. It's all like AAU ball now. So with uniforms and a lot of money.
I feel you. I feel you.
And
Yeah,
guns.
I'm
A
from
lot of guns,
Connecticut,
too.
so
Celtics. You're a Celtics fan.
I like Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown.
All right.
But for a while there, I was a Thunder fan because I like
Okay.
KD and Russ. And then before that, I was back at the Celtics because I like KG, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce. I'm a player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I understand the whole,
That's sort of me too. It's like when Steph started hitting threes, I'd never seen anybody be able to shoot the ball like that before. And that's sort of him and Klay Thompson kind of grabbed me with just their ability to just get the shot off so fast. It was
Right.
like that was amazing to me.
I still think they're mutants. I mean, we're seeing the beginning right now.
Yeah.
Like
It can't be luck at this
it
stage.
can't. It ain't luck, and that's hard. It's hard to have that skill, but my God,
Chris Rock tells a story about seeing Steph Curry as a very young man shooting at this crazy level around his father.
Mm-hmm.
And so to hear him tell that story and then see what he's doing, and on top of that, the improbability of him being paired with somebody who has near the same skill, and then he brings his own things to the table. That's just mind-boggling that happens. And I don't think we're going to end up watching. We're going to go back and watch these guys when their days are done, and we're going to be like, how did that happen? Much like the story with the Lakers Celtics having that rivalry during that era. I grew up a Lakers fan of that era basketball. So that's why that story was fascinating when it was announced and when I actually did watch it.
Cool. Yeah.
What drew you to it? Like, what drew you to take on to tell this story? Like, what about Magic Johnson and the Showtime Lakers made you go, you know what, this would be a great story to tell, TV, whatever?
Well, they called me and asked me, so that's always a good. The invitation is always a good thing. Right. I mean, I think for me, it had a lot to do with something I knew. I grew up in the era. That was the era where you have sort of a love affair with sports, and it was the most idealistic period for me with sports. I'm a little jaded now, but back then, when I was younger, it was the closest to when I would buy a jersey. You couldn't see me caught dead in a jersey today.
No,
but
not one
back
jersey.
then as a kid, I would have a number 6. I had a number 6 jersey, posters on my wall, all of that stuff.
No, I mean, you're not gonna wear a jersey now?
No, they don't make that size jersey no more. Maybe they do. I'm sure the big and tall.
Oh, somebody will definitely.
Yeah, they make, but that would be embarrassing. I wouldn't do that to cloth. I wouldn't do that to the other people around me, and it would look foolish.
You got to get one of those like Laker, not the jerseys, but like the jackets,
the jumpsuits.
Yeah, the jumpsuits. No,
you're moving farther in the wrong direction. It's getting worse. You're going in the wrong way.
I was trying to go away from it. The jersey to me,
the most you got is the game is on. let me see halftime. I click in around the third quarter, see what the score is. That's the most of what you get from me. Unless it's the playoff. If it's playoffs in the beginning when it's like 5 games going on at the same time every night, that's exciting, for the
Okay.
first couple of nights. But you ain't going to get me. And Lakers, even unless somebody give me free tickets, they're $1,700 a ticket to go see something that's
That's
going to end in an
insane.
hour and a half. I
Oh
mean,
my
I'm
gosh.
good.
Oh my god.
It's all right.
So you mentioned that the research involved is there's a lot of books and interviews and stuff. Did you speak with like, Magic or, people that were actually around that time, or did you try
No,
not to?
well, not no. We did a lot of research, but there's so many different characters that are um, so many different characters to cover that it's difficult to hone in on just one. And everybody's written a book, everybody's put out information, that you don't want to get one perspective that sort of bleeds over another, because everybody sees the world from their point of view.
Yeah, I get that. Oh man, I lost the question. Go ahead, Jamari. What I think of the question.
Did you find it at all difficult to do this? Because even though the story was existed in some format before, everybody, for the most part, the people involved are still very much alive and
Mhm.
mostly active. Was
Uh-huh.
that different here?
No, I mean I did Wu Tang. They all still alive except ODB. I've it's not the first time I've dealt with history in that way. I mean, you're telling a story, a very specific story, and it's difficult to tell a story that takes place over a 6, 7 year period in 10 episodes in 10 hours. So it's difficult, but you're picking off the broad beats of what happened in its totality. Um, so the work itself is tedious and difficult, but emotionally and psychologically, no.
What I loved about it, what I love about the narrative that you guys are using is the fourth wall breaks.
Mm-hmm.
What inspired that?
Mhm.
The Adam McKay. I mean, Adam McKay's style of storytelling. If you've seen any of his work,
Hmm.
that's his device. That's his tone. That's his way of telling story, and it helps us get more into a scene and more into a character's head than typically you would have. Like, to the passive observer, you might look at it as a way to get a joke in or something like that, but actually we're giving you more information about a character and how a character feels, because they're communicating directly with you for a moment, and it draws your attention, I think, in a different way, unless you do it too much. It's always a thing. It's Goldilocks. You don't want to do it too much, you don't
Right.
want to do it too little. You got to get it just right.
Because it almost feels almost like the TV version of a thought bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is what the person is thinking at this time, but they're telling you, the viewer. So I agree with you. It did draw me in, and
Mm-hmm.
it was an opportunity to get a joke, but it was also an opportunity to get information across that otherwise wouldn't be known in that scene. I
Mm-hmm.
really enjoyed that part. Like I honestly, I know I had seen, reviews about how Jerry Buss was portrayed, and I know that there was some talk about, from a negative point of view, but to me, I thought he came off like like a shrewd businessman, like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like
But
eh,
but here's the thing. I mean, I think there's what you would feel as an audience and what you would feel if you were actually that person. I'm very empathetic to if somebody was telling the Rodney Barnes story and they were picking moments from my life that I probably wasn't very proud of when I wasn't my best self. I'd be pissed off too. It's like, and I didn't have any say
right.
what you do and don't do. It's not like Jordan's Last Dance where I hear he was editing, this is how I want it done and this is what I want you to highlight on. It's the opposite. We have people who are telling a story about my life and me as a character, and they're picking and choosing things. And even though the audience may see it in one light, they see it in a more personal light. So very empathetic to that idea. but we're all fans. I mean, the thing, everybody that's involved with the show, everybody that writes and produces it, we're fans of what they accomplished. And so it's not like a hit piece. It's sort of life is walking alongside basketball. And to me, that's the intrigue of the show and the strength of the show. So it's never to disparage anyone or to make them feel or look a particular way negative in a negative light, because we love them.
Yeah, I don't I didn't get that from even Jerry West's character,
Hmm.
especially when they start talking about his how he was raised and everything like that. Like
Hmm.
it's like, okay, I get it now. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, in the beginning it's like, okay, this is an angry guy,
Yeah.
but you get it. So even those small little scenes were great. Go ahead, Jamari, and then
So
I'll go.
going back, kind of piggybacking off of Javon, I thought it was very interesting how, since this is a dramatized thing. Usually, when we do when autobiographical stuff is made, there's a certain tone that people take with it, and this is very serious all the time. And the choices that were made with the show allowed us to see these characters kind of warts and all. So you bring mentioning that if somebody sees these points and pick these points, they probably aren't in the best. They probably won't think the highest of it. But yeah, I think that was very compelling because it felt more like what you traditionally see in a fictionalized show.
Hmm. Hmm.
So was that something more on purpose, or was that just kind of the nature of what you felt with this?
I mean, the nature of just the way we wanted to tell this story. I mean, it needs to be, again, you have a show that's kind of like the Love Boat, where you have so many different characters and so many different stories within stories and sub stories under stories. There's a way that you have to approach it and attack it so that you feel, and stars, Oscar winners and people who are celebrated for being the best at what they do, and incredibly talented newcomers. You have to make sure everybody gets a certain amount of, time, space to be able to do what it is that they do. So you choose a path. You choose a path. You choose a delivery device. I got to take this call again real quick. Give me
Yep.
1 second.
Yep.
All
No
right.
worries. We'll slide you to the
Mhm.
side. Yeah, I think I got maybe 3 or 4 episodes in. I gotta finish watching it. It's one of those shows where I was like, I'm gonna watch this, but you
Mm-hmm.
know me, I'm always doing something, and I didn't want to have it on in the background. So I'm thankful for having Rodney on, because it gave me an excuse to binge watch. So
I I watched. I burned through it because I think I when it was on, I did not watch immediately, but I think maybe a couple of weeks in, I was like, oh no, I gotta go ahead and. So when it right before the last episode, I just burned through, and now thinking about this, I kind of want to go back and watch it again with a different eye because I was really enjoying it, and it feels so much like another. It feels like dramatized prestige TV that we're used to. I compare it to stuff like Mad Men and things of that nature. But again, these people are still alive. These people are around, and usually when we do this, there's a certain tone. I'd say 15 years ago, a sports show would have taken, or a sports documentary would have taken, and this thing is not that at all. Because
well, it does appear that they're trying to have a more lighthearted approach to it, as opposed to, say, like Ray, which there were lighthearted moments, but it was kind of dour. And most biographical things tend to be dour.
very.
I mean, I was trying to think, even like the BET stuff. Well, I didn't. No. I was going to say the New Edition story was lighthearted. It was started lighthearted, and it kind of got out of hand.
It still went there. It still eventually went there, and there
Right.
was still a level of seriousness or level of deliberate gravitas that still tried to accomplish. and
Right.
there's moments. It's like, even though it's not, it's closer to the 5 heartbeats than what we got here, and like the things, the portrayal of Magic Johnson, I think.
I'm going to interrupt 1 second. For those that want to follow him, Twitter at the Rodney Barnes, and then at Instagram is at the Rodney Barnes, and then the website is rodneybarnes.com. So if you want to, if you want to, get to know more about the writer, the gentleman who's blessing us with his time, feel free to check that out. Also, Amazon, Philadelphia, get your copy. I'm burning through the first book right now. Philadelphia is actually, it was one of the books, because I'm trying to branch out. I've been reading so much superhero stuff lately. I wanted a change, and I wanted to do different stuff. So I just like went over to Image and was like, well, what can I try? So I picked up like Excellence. I picked up, what's the other book? There's another book that I picked up and I can't remember, but I'm always on the Bitter Root, the Bitter Root bandwagon.
I enjoyed that a lot.
So, but once again, I was trying to get Philadelphia #1 because I didn't want to jump into 2 and 3 and not know what the heck was going on. So, I'm very happy that I was able to.
I have to rely on you and some other people in my life who bring me interesting stories.
Don't listen. There's plenty of the Google exists for a reason, sir. So if you want it, whatever type of story you're looking for, I mean, like I said, Image Comics is really good for having a different selection, like of books, not just superhero stuff. So
yeah,
if you whatever you're looking for is there. I mean, I made the announcement yesterday on Michael Watson's Chat and Draw that I am working on a horror book. This was before, I've been working on this for a while, but which I thought was a great coincidence considering who we had on the show today. But I actually do want to pitch it to Image. I kind of do. But Image is really great. I've been Crossover. That's the other book that I picked up. Crossover, which is it's basically this book about if like all the superheroes and fictional characters like broke into the real world, and then like one of the characters basically creates like this dome over, I think it was Denver, I believe. And so they're all stuck in there basically fighting and killing each other for like decades, I believe it was like decades. But some of the fictional characters were able to escape before the dome was put up. So they're out there.
So they're out and about.
All right, so he's back on. All right, here we go. All right, we got you.
You got me. Apologies again.
No, it's okay. We're going over.
Business keeps happening. Business. I'm doing business. Not business, but
business. Business is booming.
Yes.
We can wrap up if you got
I'm good.
stuff
Keep
to do.
Going.
Okay,
I owe you guys more time for the.
No, we appreciate it. We appreciate
so there you go.
Yeah, this is. Yeah.
We're just
what time we get. We are very appreciative of.
We're just talking about Image and their selection of books and how they've got like a wide variety of books and how
a fantastic company, that Image.
Image is great. Next time, hopefully they don't reject my proposal. We're gonna get there.
Oh man, there you go. I'm gonna talk to somebody. As soon as we get off here, I'm talking to somebody about your proposal.
I got you. So we got to go back.
Yes,
because you said you tried wrestling.
I did.
Are you a big wrestling fan?
I was. I am going to WrestleMania this year with my son.
Oh, really?
But he hooked up the tickets. So shout out to my son. Yeah, I grew up from the single digits, loving the WWF at the time. Okay. And then when we got cable, the NWA Mid-South World Championship Wrestling.
Yep.
Dug that a lot more at the time because of the Four Horsemen and the way Mid-South Wrestling worked, there was a real thing. And then we had the Baltimore Civic Center, so I would go up on the weekends and watch Dusty Rhodes and Flair and them in the Steel Cage and the Road Warriors and all of them. And so it was that, and then the WWF at a time, but they went through this phase when I was in my teen years or so, where everybody was like a plumber and Doink, and it was like it became kiddie. Like there was WrestleMania, which was cool, and then
the
it sort of flowed.
gobbledygook.
Yeah, and it flowed into that for a minute, and then the Attitude Era hit and sort of resurrected things. And WCW is like the Monday Night Wars, but during the period around the late 80s, I had gotten out of school, realized I sucked at basketball and football. The world reminded me every time I tried to, I would forget. They would tell me, you're not very good at this. And I should have known that along the way, but I got imagination. So, I thought I would always, it would kick in. If I just did it long enough, something would happen. And I said, hey, wrestling, I'm good on the mic. I've got some athletic ability. And they had this place down in Atlanta called the Power Plant. Connected to
I know the Power Plant.
WCW. So I sent my $500 in and I went down to the Power Plant. And they beat the shit out of me. They beat me so bad. They beat me up. It was Pistol Pez Watley, Hardbody Harrison, who's in jail right now, the Sarge, and another dude. And Teddy Long was down there, and Adam Bomb, and a couple of others. Beat me I don't want to use slavery as a reference, but it was personal. Like they had dudes crying. I didn't cry, but I was damn close. I was probably too dehydrated to cry. And for 3 days, they just beat me up, sent my ass home. And Teddy Long had given me his card, and he said, I'd like you stay with this. You got something. I was like, no, I don't. Whatever you see. I'm telling you how I feel. This does not feel good. And, I hung around. There was some other folks. I played with other schools and things that I did and had opportunities. But I saw the writing on the wall. And when I watched these A&E documentaries, on the weekends, I'm glad I didn't do it because I would have been broke. I'm broke up now having done nothing. So if I had been a wrestler, and I'm sure I wouldn't have been good enough to be a star, then I'd have been a jobber and they beat the hell out of me for years and I would be in that thing. And I'm glad it didn't work out. It's better for me watching it on TV. God bless those brothers.
I'm a big wrestling fan. Jamari knows this. Never in my life did I think that I could do it, but
I had moments. Of one of the things I say about I don't have a lot of things that I'm proud of in me, but one of my virtues is I'm not afraid to try something. I'm not afraid to get in my car and drive cross country and live in a back alley for 8 months to try to be a writer or take a chance and go down to Atlanta and get beat up. Or go to a great college and try to be a basketball player to try to walk on to a great school, only to have the coach say, thank you very much, son. I appreciate you coming. Thank you. I was Lefty Drizel at College Park.
Oh, wow.
University of Maryland. I came and walked on and wanted to talk to him. And in street clothes, he made me play against one of his better players. Didn't go well. So, I'm not afraid to be rejected. I expect rejection.
That's one of the hallmarks of being a good writer is life experience. So,
and I have that.
You definitely got that.
Life experience. I
don't have that experience, but man, because I've heard stories. Yeah, I've heard stories about training for WWE and learn how to chop and take falls, and
I'm not built for any of that.
I
got 3 fights left in me. If somebody, I can't say, where they're gonna come out, probably defending my children or something or whatever. But after that, I'm a victim. I might look like imposing, and I box them for exercise. I got a trainer. We box in the mornings, but you take them pads away and him telling me where to hit, I'm a victim. I'm waiting. I need a life alert. I need somebody to come along, make sure I'm all right. I'm gonna get the handicap rails on the in the bathroom any day now. It's over. It's basically over. Y'all you better read these stories. You know how many more they gonna be. You want me to sign something? Hurry up.
He's like, I give you a comic. Just leave me alone. Just
Yeah,
leave
I'm
me
good.
alone.
I'm good. I need a big house with a gated community. Is the reason that I live the way that I do because I'm scared. I'm scared. It's a dangerous world.
It
Very,
is.
very
It's a
dangerous
dangerous
world.
world.
I'm
I haven't thought about that. How many fights I got left for me?
I'm technically a punk, but I won't say completely. I won't say complete because you get me mad. Some of that 80s and 90s will come out if you just, you push me wrong. But then I feel as I'm stepping towards you, I feel all the old. I feel like,
You take to one
like
step.
I wanted to do this and my body did that. So it's like
I feel like you may want to slap somebody.
oh, it's on there all the time. I'm very
You,
angry. I'm Bruce
you
Banner
gotta
without
be
the
you gotta
radiation.
be in arm length,
Yeah,
basically. That's what you're telling me.
I have a very reactionary temper, but I've learned in therapy to control it. But I also have learned in life to control. I had a boxing coach one time, and you know how they hold the mitts, for
Yeah.
exercise. You're doing pad work. So I was doing pad work for like 3 weeks, and we going. I'm doing like I'm got everything moving in rhythm, and I'm basically a professional boxer in my mind. I'm ready now for Holyfield or whoever at the time I was doing this with. And so I started messing with the brother. Like I would start slipping in a punch and a jab, like past the pads and all of this. And this brother was a professional boxer, retired.
Oh
And he
Lord.
said, "Oh, you think you're ready to spar now, right?" I was like, "Well, I'm in my mind. We back in my mind again. It's imagination." So he puts on the gloves. 4 rounds, brother. Okay, ding ding. And I'm bam, bam, bam. Everything I've seen in a movie, in Rocky, everything. I'm trying everything. He let me do that for about 45 seconds, and I was tired. Beat me up so bad I looked like a Dalmatian. When I took my shirt off, I had bruises all over. He hit me in the head. I never went back. I didn't finish the 4 rounds. They had a women's exercise class. They had a women's exercise class watching, and the women started going around the ring. So now I'm being guarded.
Oh.
And he started talking shit as he was, hi, I thought it was easy, huh? This ain't the pads, this ain't the mittens. And I can't breathe, so I can't talk shit back because that's sort of a superpower. I can't talk shit back because I can't breathe. He's and I'm a victim. I'm in the corner. It's like old Ali against Larry Holmes. Like I'm just getting beat up, but ain't nobody there. Ain't no referee to stop the fight.
I was gonna say you didn't have nobody to throw the flag.
There was no towel. There was nobody. They were enjoying this. They were enjoying this. And so
I would have ran to grab my white towel.
midway through the 3rd round, I just got out the ring. He was like, "You gonna leave my ring like that? Disrespect my gym?" And I was like, "Yep." And I got out the ring and I went back to my life of sedentary leisure and writing stories where I belong. And I may have high blood pressure now because I don't exercise because I was traumatized by my boxing coach. But yeah, man, it's like, and I learned in that moment. I said, "All right, this is the beginning of the end. This is the beginning of the end. I will never go to a place like there'd be times I was a bouncer in a strip club." To give you some more context to my difficult life, and I used to train, and I used to be with a bunch of brothers, and all we did. I had a period of my life about 3 years where I wasn't doing nothing, like absolutely nothing. I was on a path to being absolutely nothing. And I got a job as a bouncer at a strip club in DC, the Penthouse nightclub. And this was during a period where I would lift weights before I went to work so I could roll my sleeves up around my bicep. Okay. And this is where DC was like the drug dealing place where it was homicides everywhere. Yeah, all of that. And
I was gonna ask. That's the wrong place to be.
yeah, but I didn't know that because of imagination. My imagination kicks in.
Your imagination, is a jerk.
My imagination is the largest nation. I am constantly putting myself in harm's way. Like I walk away and say, "You could have got killed doing that." But in the moment, like I have this fantasy thing. So I'm in the strip club and the girls, and I'm tough and I'm big and all of that. And one night, this dude pulled a gun on me, and because you're supposed to pat him down, and I wasn't patting no damn body. I told y'all I was the worst security guard ever. And I was just there so I could just basically get $100 a night and naked people. That was about it. That was all I really wanted. It was easy 4 or 5 hours, put the beer away at night, and I ain't really had to do no work. And dude pulled a gun on me, and I remember thinking, "Boy, you one of the dumbest. I don't want to cuss on y'all show." But it was in that moment, like reality, just like you don't belong here. This isn't you.
You were thinking this is a dumb way to die,
It was
right?
the stupidest way to die. It was one of the things that woke me up on the way home. When I was driving home, it was like, do you realize how close you came? Because the dude that pulled the gun had nothing to lose. Like he was okay with jail. I could see the look on his face that him in jail, like jail was another community for him. Like he didn't mind. And it was like at that point I started thinking, but all right, you need to get your life together. I tried a correctional officer too, but I walked in and I walked right out because you in jail
Oh
with
boy.
them. I wasn't built for that either.
Mm-mm.
So all of this to prove to y'all that I don't have. There's not a whole lot. I tell my kids they're not as safe as they used to be. Y'all gotta act right when you go outside. Because if y'all disrespect somebody, all I can really do is threaten to sue, or give somebody a tongue lashing. That's
You
wrong
just
what you just did to my kids. But I ain't swinging. I ain't getting in no fights with nobody. I love them to death, but I've done enough. So yeah. I love them. They all good children, but I think I've raised them well enough to go out in the world.
Nah,
and
it's
protect
their
themselves.
their turn to protect you now.
No, they're not gonna protect. It's over. They already know. None of them. They're not gonna protect me. I've already given up on. You gonna see me in a wheelchair pointed towards a wall. I see my future.
Oh my
I'm
god.
hoping. I'm saving up right now for a nice physician nurse. She'll probably stab me in the middle of the night, but
Oh,
it's okay though. I've already made peace with all of this. This is all kind of.
wait, listen, man. As long as you know, I mean, that's all that matters, right? Like you
Oh yeah,
That's
just
I
you,
made
you
peace with it. I know what the end is. I've seen the end.
you
It's
low
not
key
pretty.
may have written another horror story.
That's
Right now.
exactly. I getting old. It's like I've already felt, and I try to bring money with me when I come, but I realize my kids ain't going. They don't. They love me in that new love. As long as their love makes them feel good,
ah,
they don't love me like my grandmother loved me. Like my grandmother, off a domestic salary, was able to help me with college and help my mother, and she might have made $4 a week, but somehow we had
she made it
everything that
work.
we needed. My kids now, they got everything in the world. They don't. All right, bye, daddy. I see it. I see it in their energy.
My son's 4, and I see it in that energy
Yeah,
too.
they already.
So
There's a sense of
yeah,
entitlement. There's a sense of
Oh
what
my
they
gosh.
deserve and how they feel, and did nobody give a damn about how I felt. There was no menu for dinner. Whatever was for dinner was for dinner, and I just happened to
Whatever
hold.
showed up on
Yeah,
the
whatever was
table.
there in the kitchen it's
if
dinner, and you
if
just
you
ate
did,
whatever was
yep.
there.
If you
They
ate
want
it, if you
this
didn't
one
want
want
it,
Cheesecake Factory, that one want this. Like these 5 Postmates orders. They all get a this, and they all. It's the
I
world.
think I did that one time. I think it was Mother's Day.
Mhm.
My wife wanted seafood and everything, and I was just like,
Mhm.
all right, I'm just get seafood from there. But then the kids can't eat that, so I had to drive from what the
No,
seafood place to McDonald's to.
yeah,
I was just
no,
like, yeah,
no. It's Tuesday for me, and everybody has an app. Everybody has the app and the credit card on the app of my car, so they order. I just hear the chime on the door, open
You
it, they
just
get
get the
whatever they
bill.
want. Yeah, I just see the bill, the Uber Eats or whatever the hell it is. They live well for somebody that's going to treat me poorly. I know. Again, I'm telling you, it's going to be bad. Ain't nobody going to change me. Ain't nobody going to do nothing. They're going to give me little protein shakes, and they're going to be warm
they go,
and a straw. It's
there
gonna
you
be
go,
bad. It's gonna be
yeah.
bad. I've taken them around the world. They've seen things. My daughter said the other day, Maldives again. So it's like they're like they're like they're horrible people. They're horrible people. They just and it's all my fault. So yes, for
So
anybody that's watching this that says, "Well,
It's
you
okay.
raised them,"
You're
you're
not alone.
absolutely right. I
You're not alone
tried
though.
to love my way through my children was spoiling them, and now I'm gonna pay a price. They're gonna leave me by myself against the
maybe
wall.
you need to pitch a half-hour special to Netflix on this subject matter. You got some stuff similar to Chris Rock right now.
Yes, my friend.
Yeah, I saw you you were at the taping, right?
Yeah, well, it worked. Yeah, we've been working together for a bunch of years. But yeah, it's I think it'll probably be a ghost story where I come back and haunt them.
Yeah, my stepdaughters, their dad offered to take them to, I think it was like Abu Dhabi, and they
Mhm.
were like, no,
Yeah,
and we're just like, what?
yeah,
And they're like, no, we're tired of traveling.
yeah. We're good. you know.
I
And
said he can take me.
my kids went to my daughter. Actually, Brittany in Philadelphia. She's the one, the angry vampire girl. She took her to. They have these new sneaker stores where they put like Captain Crunch in the sneaker, and all of a sudden it costs $900 now because they painted something on the shoe or they did something to it, and it's not a regular Nike anymore. And so no, Daddy, you need to get this because it's whatever. And she was really serious, like these are 2,100, but oh my God, I really need these. Nikes were $28 when I was coming up, and I had to work. I had to wash dishes in order to earn because there wasn't nobody buying me no shoes. But my kids don't work. They don't understand what work is. They threaten me with work. Oh, I'll go work at Baskin Robbins and get robbed and killed, and then you'll be feeling guilty.
What kind of threat is that?
You played the whole thing out. You played the whole tragedy, and I would feel bad too. I would feel bad. Because I want to say, go on then. And then I feel bad, like, oh, gosh, you could get robbed because people do rob. This is LA. So.
Oh, that's what, yeah.
In fact, my daughter she applied to 20 colleges. She got into 19. The 20th was the one she really wanted to get into. She was very upset. And she said, it's my fault that she's so upset. I was like, okay, what'd I do? You made my life so good that I don't know how to deal with disappointment. And I didn't call her names. I wanted to. There's a lot of names I wanted to call. But that's wrong. That's trauma. That's what they call trauma now. Things I got called every day. If I say it once to them, it's our whole relationship is over. My grandkids will be saying, "Oh, we have a grandfather? Yeah, he wrote some stories."
He wrote some stuff.
Yeah. So, it's a different world. I won't be around much longer. I'm going to do the best I can while I'm here. And it's going to happen soon. It's going to be one night I'm going to go try to be young again. I'm going to go to the club, or something like that I shouldn't do and get beat up. And it's going to be over.
Why you got to get beat up, man?
I'm going to get beat up. Because I'm going to have an opinion about something. I'm going to say the music is too... Did y'all turn this shit down? It's something I'm going to do. I went to a club with Chris Rock not too long ago. And we walked in the club and we looked at each other and it was like the people move too fast and the music is too loud. Like all of this is wrong, because we can dictate the nature of the silence and solitude. When you get to a certain age, I want to listen to Robert Glasper. I want to listen to jazz. I don't want to hear the hip hop and the beats and all. I don't want any of that. I don't want any of that noise. And when you go outside, you can't dictate the world. And the world is loud and it's mean and it moves fast. I want a jazz life.
Yeah, you probably should not go to those clubs.
No, I don't go to movies anymore. Like I hear the Creed 3 is good.
Oh, you gotta go. Well, you can go in the afternoon.
It be on. No, because they out then too. They everywhere. I tried to go to the theater where it's $200 to go to the movies. I used to go there, but that ain't the same too, because they letting everybody in. It's LA. Everybody got $200.
You're a couple years away from being a hermit, man.
No, I'm already a couple weeks away, a couple of days away. I'm not. I have no desire to go outside. If I didn't have to go outside, I go to the doctor. Even the doctor now is virtual. I can talk to the doctor, and half of my appointments are there, except when they got to touch me. But yeah, I wish I didn't have to go outside. And I have a lovely car. I live in a lovely neighborhood. It's a lovely thing, but I don't want to get it. I can tank of gas now lasts a month. I don't want to go nowhere.
So you were like in heaven during the quarantine.
Oh my God, it was the best thing ever. I wanted the world to end. If it wasn't for people like hurting and losing their jobs and all of that kind of stuff, this was the perfect thing because we were writing the show, so I had to come outside. It was the perfect thing. I didn't have to talk to people. The only person I had to talk to was the Postmates guy, and even he would drop the food at the door, and I opened the door and I waved to him as he drove off. That was it. That's the best relationship I've ever had during COVID.
So my wife was the same. My wife kind of believed the same. She was in heaven because she's a homebody. She was like, I'm good. My family's here. We're safe. We got
Bills
food.
paid. I had money coming in. This man, that could. I hope they have another strain. You know, one of them strains
dear.
that come in, not for everybody, just for like a demo, like a certain kind of demo. Like if you over 35 and before 60, 35 to 60, you got to stay in the house. You know, and everybody make money. Again, I'm not trying to take anybody's money away.
You just
They
want
said,
your age range to
"Woo!"
just be able to stay home.
Or if we had like a Last of Us, you know, or not Walking Dead because they too dusty. They ain't no cable. Like none of that was appealing, you know, because they knew how to get in the house. But if you watched The Last of Us, episode 3, they had the 2 men in the house.
Right.
And they had a lovely time in the house for like years. They died because they got old and sick. It wasn't the zombies. It was just they got old.
They just got old.
We could have that. Like The Last of Me. That would be the story. And I'm in the house, and the kids could be off. They could be somewhere off, living their life, doing whatever the hell they want to, because they don't love me no how. They could be whatever, and they can still call and FaceTime. Oh, I'm good, Daddy. All right, I'm good too.
Just check in.
Just make
You
enough.
just need your fence in your cottage.
Cottage, them Star Trek meals where you just heat them up and I'd probably be healthier anyway.
Do you have a garden in the back? Because if you're gonna be the hermit life, you gotta.
If necessary, I would do that. I would have a dog. You know, I would have a dog, and me and the dog would get along. And
maybe the Postmates guy will come by.
I don't want him to come by either. He can just drop off some stuff at the front door.
He wants a drone, man.
That's
he wants
the
a
perfect
drone.
thing. It's funny in the Uber. It's funny how when you get old, you put the in front of it. In front of the
Uber.
And any of them. I don't do Lyft. I just do the Uber. And all of them. I always push the buttons where you can't talk to me. You know, don't talk to me.
Options.
Don't say nothing.
The
Don't
drop-off
ask me no
options.
questions. You know, don't ask me no questions. Don't ask me. Don't talk to me. I could be having a stroke and just don't talk to me. Just let me die. Just let me die.
In the back
Don't help me. No resuscitate. If they could put that in the notes, do not resuscitate in the notes.
They just roll you out the car.
Let me go. Let me
when
go.
You get home,
when I get to my destination, pull me out.
Just roll you out the car.
Pull me out and put me there. There's nobody that's going to sue because don't nobody love me. And it is what it is. I'm good with that.
Oh, man.
I'm good with that. I've made peace.
Hey, look, as long as you made peace.
I have 1,000 DVDs. I can watch X-Files over and over again. I can watch Homicide, like all the shows that I love, like they're brand new. I do that anyway, you know. And nothing good is happening right now anyway. Like nothing really good. It's all sort of deviations of things that used to be really good. And so you accept this because it's the best of what they're doing now.
Right.
So yeah, and I'm not doing it up like the old dude, how the world was better. If I could put balloons on my house and go somewhere, I would. I wouldn't go up in the mountains.
I'm waiting for you to tell me you got like snipers and a whole.
I'm not violent.
Compound,
I'm not violent. I'm not
a
violent.
Compound to keep people away.
No. It's not like a paranoia. I'm not one of the active shooters. I'm not one of them. It's not like a hatred of people. It's more of a disdain. It's more of an idea of if I can just keep them over there, y'all just stay over there, be happy. I hope all of y'all are even happier than me. I just don't want to have to
leave you
out. How do you do Comic-Cons with this mentality?
I knew you were going to ask me that. We're talking about something that it's like talking to y'all. It's like we're talking about something that I'm connected to emotionally. So for 2 hours, I can talk to anybody for 2 hours. 2 hours and 15 minutes, I start sweating. 2 hours, 20 minutes, my heart rate starts to rise. You know, it's like that discomfort starts to kick in. And I'm thinking about my hotel room. You know, I'm starting, all right, how can I what's the quickest route for me to get from this person that's talking to me a little too long and to my room? What's the quickest route?
So you're not hanging out with nobody at cons. You're like, I'm going to talk and then I'm going to go
I do
back
my
to
talk.
room.
No, I don't do the dinner afterwards. Hey, let's all, hey, we writers and we know. I see y'all on Facebook. That's why we got Facebook.
I was gonna say, man, I see you at a con, but I probably
I sure would. If you catch me between that 2 and 4 window, you think you found the best friend you ever had. Between 2 and 4, you don't think you have a friend for life. And I'm coming over. You say, "Oh man, we coming over. Me and Abu Dhabi, we all gonna get together. We're gonna have a family dinner. You should come." Yeah, I'm gonna be never gonna come ever.
Hey, look, we gonna get dinner. We gonna get dinner. We gonna get dinner after. Hey, yeah, I'll see you there.
I see you there. Where you gonna be? You gonna be in the lobby?
We'll save you
I'll
a
see
seat.
you down in the lobby. What time? I'll go
He's
through the whole
never
thing.
coming
What
to the
time?
lobby.
6:30. Meet me in the lobby. 6:30. If I ain't there by 6:35, something happened.
I'm gonna
And
do
then
it too.
go on,
I'm
do
gonna
your
do it.
thing.
I'm gonna be like, hey man, we going to dinner. But I'm
Yeah.
seeing,
Shit, I
yeah.
can't wait. Where we
And I'm
going?
gonna
What we gonna
literally
have?
wait there until
And little do
6:30.
you
And
know, there's a lobster in my room and a grape soda, and I'm sitting
You-
there. I'm in my drawers watching Forensic Files. I'm sitting in my drawers watching the Forensic Files. I ain't thinking about you. I've long since you. I said, "Oh yeah, my bad."
you see it tomorrow. Hey, I missed you. I was downstairs at 6:35 and you left. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
man, what happened? We missed, I came to the wrong lobby.
All
So,
right, man. We I don't want to hold you too long so before we go, we do this thing every day, every time where we do a top five. I have another show.
That's
we
easy.
Do top five.
Yeah.
So, and this is an easy one for you. This is an easy
Yes.
one for you. So it's a cakewalk. Top 5 favorite horror films.
Oh, that's easy. Exorcist would be number 1.
Okay.
Dawn of the Dead, the 1978 Dawn
Okay.
of the Dead. No, not that. Serpent and the Rainbow.
Okay. Okay.
1408.
I love that movie.
I do too.
That's a good one.
And I'm supposed to say Blackula, but I'll say Nightmare on Elm Street.
Which one? The first one?
The original. Yeah, there are
Okay,
no
okay,
those other ones don't count. Except Dream Warriors that Frank Darabont wrote, number 3. That was cool. But
Dream Warriors is the one with the kids in the.
No, Dream Warriors was the
They
one.
fight back.
Yeah, there was something.
Yeah, it was the kids in the mental asylum, right?
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne was in it. He was
Yeah.
the orderly. He was the orderly.
Right, right.
Yeah, he had child support payments
Right.
he had to pay. So, yeah. That's the only way you get him in. It's like Forrest Whitaker in Bloodsport. Like, okay,
That's right.
he either wanted
Wow.
to trip. He wanted to trip either to Hong Kong or something. But Forrest Whitaker is better than.
All right, let me
Bloodsport.
see. Jamari, are you ready? Or do you need a minute?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I'm trying to
All right.
add my last one.
So this is hard for me because I love so many of them. But my first one is very kitschy. I love from Dusk Till Dawn. I can watch that a lot of times. That's one of my favorites. I like Dawn of the Dead, the newer version.
That's an action movie. That
I
ain't a horror
know
movie.
it's horror though. It's
No,
close.
it's not.
Come on. So, just see. What's the name of the Stephen King movie? Jeez.
That's a lot of movies.
I know. I love Thinner.
Ew, you moving in the wrong direction.
Is it Thinner or is it?
There's a Thinner. There's
No. That's
Couldn't
not what
Stop
I'm
Losing
thinking
Weight.
of. That's not what I'm thinking of.
Misery.
No, I love The Mist.
Oh, okay. You that person.
I'm that person. I'm the one person.
You that person.
God
God bless you. God bless you. Why did Andre Brower go out into the mist? Because he was mad. That
He was
made no
mad.
sense whatsoever.
But
That
you know
made-
what though? Every
and
time
the religious lady was so over the top.
Can I say this though? I'm gonna say this.
And the
Every
big
time I
bug-
think
the big bug looked like I did it, like it was a puppet. You could see the string coming in. No, it wasn't making enough flapping to fly. But continue. It was like the Muppets. It's like
I'll say this,
horror
though.
Garanimals or-
whenever I see like people doing stupid things in movies, and I used to think, man, that's unrealistic. The last couple of years, the last few years have kind of been like, no, people really gonna do stupid stuff like that.
I agree, but I think the movie is good because of a heightened sense of reality. Like this is the best idea of what you would do in a situation like this. But
Okay.
continue. This
All
your
right,
list. I'm not going to judge your list.
You judging me right now.
Well, you've made some poor choices. You've made some poor choices. I apologize, but you.
I know this is tough.
It's another reason why we're not going to dinner too. 'Cause if this is the choices that you're making. This is what the conversation over dinner would be. and I would have to sit
Lord
there
have
for however
mercy.
long, cordially, and have to listen to these bad takes. You know, I love Maximum Overdrive. I think that's Stephen King's best movie. Yeah, okay. You know what, ma'am? I'll just have an
Well,
appetizer.
what's your
Just give
favorite
me an
Stephen King? You
appetizer
gotta
and
give
a
me your
Coke.
you gotta give me your favorite Stephen King movie then.
Favorite Stephen King. Shawshank. Shawshank is probably.
Well,
the
that's
best
not a
Stephen
horror
King.
movie though. Give me
No,
horror.
but you said favorite.
All right,
Stephen
I
movie.
did. Horror movie. I would say Shawshank is
Uh,
my favorite Stephen King movie.
I mean,
too.
if you say horror, I'll say Misery. I think
Okay.
Misery's up there. I don't think the Green Mile movie I worked on. I was Michael Clark Duncan standing on that movie. It's a lot. Dead Zone is good. Carrie's good. Again, 1408 is good. The first It was good. The second one was a comedy. Um, it's there's a few of them scattered in between. There's some bad ones in there as well.
Okay. What's my you
You see, I
messed
didn't
me.
say Thinner. You see, I
You
didn't say
did. You
Thinner.
didn't say
I didn't
Thinner,
say
even though I
yes.
like Thinner.
And
I
I
like
know,
them.
which is why we're not
all right.
going to dinner.
Hey, I mean,
You might get a quick breakfast.
I'm
You might
gonna
get
get, I'm gonna get a wave by.
with a tie. Hey man, look, I only got a half hour. Good boy, let's have breakfast. What you want? Come on over. You get a quick
Stop by
breakfast.
McDonald's.
Breakfast
That's what I'm
buffet.
getting. I'm getting
Yeah, I
drive
won't
through
give
at the
you quick-
McDonald's.
I won't give you enough time to engage me to the point where I just get angry. That's how I'd make a great Hulk. I'd make a great Hulk because I would never be around anybody.
But
long
see, it's
enough to get
okay
angry.
though, because I know you
Because-
only got 3 fights in you, so that no matter what I say,
but
you're not
see,
gonna
here's
waste
the
one
thing.
of the fights.
my ability, and this is another problematic aspect of me, is my ability to fight back verbally, because I still have that kid that was picked on inside
Right.
of me, that I can still fight back that way.
I got you.
I would crack on you like we were in the neighborhood or you thinner ass. I'd be like that thing. How bad your movies are. To
That's
the point
all
where
right,
you would
man.
never want to watch a movie again. I'd be in your head.
Nah,
Every time
listen,
you like a bad
there's a
movie.
reason I call myself the most opinionated man in comics, man. I gotta, if I can't dish it out, I can't take, if you can't
That's
take
true.
it, I ain't gonna dish it out.
God bless you. God bless you.
Gosh, I forgot where I was.
You were already there. You had 7. This is perfect. Because the Thinner was 2. Thinner was
There
2.
was 2.
I don't think anybody who's watching this right now is anticipating what you're.
I can't remember. So we've done this list before on our show, but I'm gonna find it. Wait, where's my? Go ahead, Jamari. Go ahead. I'm gonna find my list, my real list. Go ahead.
Alien would be there
I
too.
forgot my real list.
Alien would be in there for me too. The first
Alien, but when I hear Alien, I know it's horror, but I feel like it's
or
like
the
sci-fi.
Thing. I can say the Thing too.
That's
But
a good
yes.
one too. That's
I can see
for
why.
Go ahead,
the
Jamari.
second-
I'm gonna find my horror. I'm gonna find my real horror.
No one
list.
wants you to find that. Probably somebody hit it. Your kids hit it. They
So-
sent
My
it to
kids
Abu
hit it.
Dhabi.
I preface this that I am not a traditional horror fan. So I do love The Exorcist, and I got to watch it when they put it back in theaters.
Yeah, the director's cut
Yeah.
with the crab walk down the steps.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah.
that was my first time ever watching it.
Perfect.
So
10 minutes too long, but perfect.
I love Drag Me to Hell.
Haven't seen it. Heard of it.
No,
Solid
That's cool.
movie.
I that one. I love Get It Out. I love Get Out.
Oh, okay.
I love Cabin in the Woods. I love Cabin in the Woods because they go even though they go places that the movies they're parodying doesn't even want to go to. It Follows and Nightmare on Elm Street because Freddy will always scare me.
Yeah, I mean, we could go to lunch. I would have a solid lunch with you. Right now, I don't see any reason to talk to Javon ever
That's
again.
all right, man.
You know,
I,
it's
you
like-
know
I'm
what?
gonna
I got
take
you.
that.
After
No,
this,
I got
didn't
you.
look-
I found it.
And then
I
it
found
was
it.
like thinner. And
I
I'm
found
like,
it.
okay,
No.
what's next?
I found it.
You
I
know,
found it.
What's not Insidious
I
Part
got
4?
no. I got you.
What
No.
is it
I
next?
got you. I got you.
You know,
So in no particular
Eve
order.
of Temptation.
Nope.
No, Death by Temptation. Like
Nope.
which one?
Nope.
Where we gonna go?
I'm gonna keep from.
Bones,
I'm gonna
Snoop
keep from
Dogg.
dusk. I'm gonna keep from dusk till dawn because I still love it. Bram Stoker's Dracula.
That's a good movie.
Don't I? Was it Train to Busan? I love.
Train to Busan.
Is it Busan? That's how you
Train to
pronounce
You
it.
Busan.
don't love it enough if you don't pronounce it
Well,
correctly.
I mean, I'm not.
You have to pronounce it. If you
I gotta
love
pronounce
something,
it
you
right.
love your kids, right? You know their names. It's
Boy,
like,
he's got the same name as me.
Yeah, Jericho. I mean, Jerry. I love you. I love you. You got to get the names right if you love something.
Hey, listen, my grandmother used to call me Jarrell all the time, man. So I mean, hey,
that's like me. When you get to a certain age, you say, "Come here."
you just don't
I don't
lose
know you. I
track.
can't see. You know.
He's like, you just lose track. You one of them. Hey, boy, come here. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, come here.
Come here. I need
Come here.
something. All you think about is why you want them to come here. You're not thinking about their name. It's not about them at that point. I'm close to death.
You can't be that much older than us.
It's not about time. It's not about age. It's about what's going on, like the nature of stress. It's city miles versus country miles. It's like how you've lived, how hard this existence is.
You know what? You're in LA, man. That's a lot. That's hard.
That's the worst place to be. That's good, but that's helping my life expectancy. If I was in Maryland, I'd live to be 110. I'd be the old dude on the porch that would say, "Boy, come here, let me tell you a story." I would be that dude. Here, if I make 62, I would be lucky. You hear writers drop dead all the time. I know why. Exactly why. I understand. Sometimes the grim reaper
advice: never move to LA.
I know, right? Never move to LA.
No, this ain't what people think. I want to be a writer. I want to be like you. I'm like, oh, okay. Really?
Right. I can't, man.
I hope
Listen,
that
man.
My manager said the other day, it gets harder, but they pay you more for it.
Hey.
So there you go. So if you're just looking at money, but if you see how many unhappy rich people there are, I would rethink all of that.
Yeah, but they're rich, so they can buy something.
I was happy.
I'd rather try to find happiness with money than without.
It's a lot easier.
I can't speak to how much money y'all make or to what I make, but I will say this. The happiest I was when I was in my Camaro with the T-tops, going to the gym. I had a little bit of money, I had a little apartment. That was the happiest time ever. Now, fighting these, I won't make a designation of the folks that I'm fighting, but fighting every day to tell stories, to entertain y'all. There's no fun in this. Every once in a while, I get some cool pictures for Instagram. I get to go on a trip. I get to go backstage at a thing. Other than that, pure misery all the way across.
Really? I mean, you get to take a trip
good
health
care. The problem is I got such good health care. They go keep me around.
They go keep you around.
I went to dinner. Our cardiologist.
Absolutely. We need this movie done. So prop them up.
I went to dinner with my cardiologist. He was like, "Man, we're going to keep you writing until you're 80. And I was like, I wanted to call him. I don't know if I can cuss on your show. Can I cuss on your show?
I go ahead.
Motherfucker. Yes. I was like, why would you do that to me? If you could give me that pill that they give the people in Oregon so they go to bed, they don't wake up, the doctor come walk in one, but I feel good all the way through, please. I've been gone. I say goodbye to the kids. I leave them some money on the table or something so they have lunch. If there was a way they could have
lunch.
Yeah. I'd make sure they had lunch money and gas money for a week. And then I'm like,
I did everything for a couple days.
I gave y'all life. I did everything I could. I love y'all.
You will liquidate all your assets and call
peace out. I'd sell the comic books. That would take a couple of weeks. But yeah, it's not. Everything else doesn't matter.
Hey, man, do you...
I'm trying to help y'all. Y'all wanted his advice, right? Y'all wanted to talk about advice. You wanted life advice? Here you go. I'm giving y'all life advice.
Oh man.
Nothing's good here. Nothing's good over here. I'm telling you, don't come
stay away. Don't come here.
Yeah.
Don't come
you sound like people here in Atlanta telling everybody else don't move here.
Oh, y'all in Atlanta? Yeah, don't go.
He's in Atlanta. I'm in Connecticut.
All right. Both of them bad. Both of them bad for different reasons. Every time I go to Atlanta, I went to Magic City in Atlanta thinking I'm going to have fun because it's Magic City. Got a little rash on my arm. I'm still scratching at this point right now. And they thought I was going to eat at the buffet. I'm like, wait a minute. Wait. Ain't no top on this food. Y'all got naked women running around and these dudes. And no tables, just chairs. I'm like, okay. This isn't a place.
There's no
I feel
tables
like
in
I'm in
Magic
danger.
City?
I'm in danger. They had some tables over there. And I guess I came in after all the tables were taken. And they don't want the tables because then the strippers can't get in position for whatever it is that they're trying to do. So it's all open. It's what I imagine hell to be when I get there.
You imagine hell to look like Magic City.
It's going to be hot. open food with flies around it, and just like sweat and rashes. That's what hell's gonna be for me.
Somebody said, one, move to Maryland. Two, get the pills to
No,
let
no,
you go
no.
to sleep peacefully.
I work
Three,
too
don't
hard.
ask Rodney to eat lunch if Javon is
Yeah,
around.
I'm not going. I'm not gonna die in Maryland. I work too hard to get out of Maryland. I told my son if I die in Maryland, fly me back to LA. Ain't no, I ain't dying in Maryland. I love Maryland. I love Annapolis, but I can't die there.
All right.
I work too hard. I dreamt about leaving for too long to die there.
Yeah, but you don't like it in LA.
No, I never said I didn't like it in LA. I was talking about the nature of the work. LA is a beautiful place. That's God's sense of humor. It's like it's beautiful, but you're just miserable. So you're miserable around beauty. So that's the thing. It's like a Twilight Zone episode.
I don't know where to go with that.
You see the ocean, you have this, you open the roof, you do a thing. Everything around you, you have the trappings of beauty. That's the Instagram.
Yeah, but you get to go to the beach. You get to at least you could take a day and go sit at the beach. That's right.
No,
you don't want to be around people.
No. I see. Here's the problem. Unless I live there, and if I live there, I need a big fence. And it's like, okay, I'm trying to get y'all to understand. I'm trying to save y'all. This is I'm doing.
I have no desire to move to LA. You ain't got to worry about that.
Well, if you're in Connecticut, you already
Hey, listen.
From your movie choices, I'm already. I'm already. Jamari has a better life than you, but he's in more danger. There's gas stations he can't go to after a certain time.
You're right about that.
He can't, he can stay on Peachtree for about a mile and a half, and then it could turn either way.
Look,
you're right about that.
Smart enough. I'm in the suburbs now because I know better.
If you're in Buckhead and all, but they come to the suburbs. They don't care. They come to the suburbs.
Unfortunately, you're right.
Y'all can't vote. You can't drink water when you vote.
He's not wrong.
So you can't. You go to the mall, they're gonna rob you at the mall.
At the mall.
Not even in the parking lot.
At the mall.
In the mall, in the store. They're waiting for you to pay for it. So you come out the store so they can rob you in the middle of the food court. That's a damn shame. So no, there's no virtue.
You gotta tell us where is a good place to live in. For you.
I don't know if any place is good at this point. I don't know if any of that's what I'm trying to tell you.
You trying to find it?
It's all in. It's all. I've been a lot of places. When I was in Africa, and the Maasai had like a cow, and like maybe three. You were rich if you had like more than 10 cows, and for every 10 cows you could have a wife. I don't know about that idea, but these weren't wives like here. They couldn't talk. It was a different thing. It was almost the perfect situation. And, they made little trinkets and things, or at least this is the story that they told me, so that I would buy extra things. And it worked because I bought all kinds of things I've never looked at again and probably will never look at as long as I live. But, they would lay down with the cows by the road, and they weren't in a hurry. Life was just an even pace. And it was beautiful. They weren't in a hurry. They Wi-Fi for what? The first place I go, I don't go to where there ain't Wi-Fi. They could be like money calling.
No Postmates guy.
No Postmates was what you want. We'll kill that bird. We'll do something. We'll kill this cow if you want it. Those type of things. There was no Postmates. There was none of that. So my daughter needed aspirin. It's funny. My daughter needed aspirin, and so our driver was like, I take you to the store. Okay. It's something about what he said. Like, she thought she was going to CVS. It's not where she was going. They took her to like this little hut where this lady had a box of pills. She didn't have on shoes either or gloves. And she dug out 2 pills, basically. And it was $5 for the 2 pills. And the directions were, they didn't give you no directions. She would let you look at the directions. You had to remember it. And it was in French. And my daughter looked at the pills and she said, Daddy, I don't think I'm going to take these. And I was like, that's a good move, baby. It'll pass. You good.
That was a very good choice.
Well, yes. Nobody had shoes. But they were happy. They were way happier than me. I had on expensive shoes. And I was unhappy. So there you go. That goes to show you it's not about money. That's the lesson to take from this.
The lesson is no shoes.
It's not about money. Javon is horrible with picking movies. And Atlanta's a good place in the daytime.
See, I don't appreciate the fact that my first impression is that he thinks I have a terrible taste in movies.
Because here's the problem. Jamari was like, all right, I'm not a big horror person. He prefaced it. He got you into his pitches, and this is how it is. It's not my favorite thing, but you jumped in like an expert.
I do. I love horror movies.
You lean back.
I said From Dusk Till Dawn.
You
From Dusk Till Dawn is a good movie.
And considered, man, I just love the Thinner. Is the Thinner?
I do love Thinner.
And then the one that trained the Booker ride, he had to remind you that's not how you pronounce it. And so it's like,
come on.
All of it was off. All of it was off. It's like I completely lost respect for anything to do with horror. Just by your, and then you threw in Bram Stoker's Dracula just to try to bring up.
No, that's the one I picked.
But it's like that's a given. That's easy. But
that's
all the other ones, But that's all. That's
cool. The one I picked.
It's cool. It's all right. It's all right.
I'm not mad at the Train to Busan pick, but I'm a sucker for a good Asian movie or Asian.
I am too. But he passed. It was everything that was around it. It's like you make a plate of food, and you want things to be positioned. You don't just load the stuffing on top of the turkey and the greens, and you just toss them on a plate. You position things properly. If you were to say, like, I gave you a couple of good ones, classics. I gave you The Exorcist, and I gave you Dawn of the Dead, and then I'm like, all right, Serpent and the Rainbow, we weren't expecting that. And I give you a couple more that you weren't expecting. And I throw those in there so that you see that there's that I'm well versed in this area. Javon just went to, this was what was on sale at the Red Box. This is what I saw. This is all
I didn't say this.
I went in, I grabbed this, they had $3-4.
I didn't say it was the best horror
these movies was good.
I didn't say it was the best horror movies. I said your favorite horror movie. I said your top 5 favorite horror movies. See, now you got my co-host from Top 5 talking trash to me right now.
I'm just
talking about they ain't gonna never let me live this down. That's okay though. That's all right.
Like I said, I'm listening to each one, and like I'm saying, all right, what would it be like in real life if I didn't have Zoom and my cursor over the button? What would life be like? If I was with Javon, like we were stuck in the elevator together, and I had to listen to his ass until they got us out.
You can literally do the same thing you're doing right now.
My favorite fighter is Roger Mayweather, not Floyd.
Don't even.
Let me see.
That's so
Ernie Shavers.
Like that's so disrespectful.
Obscure fighters.
Now I want to see you on top 5. I want to see you
my favorite person in Enter the Dragon was John Saxon. John Saxon. They should have made the whole movie about him. I don't even know why they had Bruce Lee and Jim Kelly in the movie. They should have made it all about John Saxon. And they brought them in the end when they was fighting. And then because John Saxon was the cool one. Yeah, he was in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Hey, I'm gonna need Morgan to stop talking. Stop typing, and I'm gonna see you on Tuesday.
It's true.
Hey, it's true. You know what? I want you on Top 5 on Tuesday. And we Why
would I do that
Top 5?
Why would I do that to myself? Why would I do that to myself?
We're gonna run that back, sir.
There's no
way we're gonna run this back.
That I would do this to my mind over time. Because I'm sure if this is like you got a top 5 with TV shows, Petticoat Junction. I think Petticoat Junction and Gilligan's Island were dramas.
That sounds like something you said.
I'm just saying that's one of the things that you would pick.
I would never say that, sir.
I'm just saying. And here's the thing: free will, free choice. You got the right to love what you love. Everybody does. I'm just saying that I just go into the thought process, and I don't want to get into the thought process. We've been on here for an hour and 15 minutes, and I gotta drink some juice or something and calm down. It's gonna be hard to sleep.
I want your blood pressure high, man. I don't want your blood. I'm gonna need you to woosah. You can woosah with me.
It's hard. It's hard. The Mist. I like the Mist is my.
The Mist is a good horror movie, sir. Sir,
with a bad decision in the end,
sir. That's a good horror. I will argue this to the death.
Okay. If you say it's a great book, yes, you're absolutely right.
It's a great book.
It's a great short story.
I
If you
mean,
say
Stephen King he rarely misses. So
Yo, he
that's
misses
my
a lot.
guy.
He misses a third of the time, but I love it.
You
I have
said
every
third
book.
of the time?
Yeah, I love I've read it all, but a third of the time they're books that like I can tell he was high.
He will tell you. He will straight up tell you.
Yeah, he will.
He
That
will.
shit
He
going
will.
on in his life.
He
Like when
will.
I was writing this book, I wasn't in my right mind. You know, it was a lot of shit going on, cocaine.
He
So,
said
yeah, it's not
misery
the-
is pure cocaine. He said the woman is just cocaine.
Yes. But when you get around Regulators and some of those other books, you know, Desperation and Dolores Claiborne, and there's a run in there, and then there was a comeback period. So there was the big coming out. The middle section was an issue, and then there's a few books in there in between, the Pet Cemeteries and some of them that were really good. And then, you know, by Bag of Bones, he was back on track, and we've been together ever since.
Okay. All right, man. Do you have anything you want to
No.
pitch?
No.
Nah, you don't tell nobody that you got nothing going on.
There's nothing to pitch. Because you ain't ready.
I don't mean pitch, but tell people what you're doing.
I'm trying to find a job. What am I doing? Blackula's out on Amazon. Philadelphia, Nita Hall's Nightmare Blog, and Monarch are available in your local comic shop. You can find me at the Rodney Barnes on Twitter and Instagram. Javon can't, but everybody else can. RodneyBarnes.com.
I'm messing with you from now on. You ain't never gonna see the end of me. Listen.
I don't want to see you in my feeds with bad
I'm coming. I'm coming.
Bad takes and
No. I'm coming.
You know,
I'm finding the next con you at,
and
sir.
I see you. You know what I was thinking last night?
The next con you at, I'm gonna be right in line.
All right, I'm gonna have to bring my goons.
I'm gonna put a hoodie and some glasses on. You ain't even gonna do it.
Bring my goons. I'm gonna have to bring my goons. I ain't coming to Connecticut. I ain't coming to Baltimore.
Are they
either.
LA goons or they Maryland goons? If they Maryland goons,
Maryland. They ain't no LA.
Then you ain't gonna see me. You ain't gonna see me.
Maryland goons. They're the high school ones that still try to be friends with. You know, the ones that want their kids in show business.
I'm gonna send Jamari over, and he just gonna give you a phone, and I'm gonna trash talk you from there.
I'll come to Atlanta. I'm coming to Dragon Con anyway. I go to T.I. strip club or something with Jamari.
Oh, Jamari gets a trip. Oh.
I would put on like an oxygen suit, one of them something to protect everything, and go on in there for about an hour. I ain't spending no money though.
And you get because nobody here wanted to wear a mask back. So there's like we got new forms of COVID here.
Oh yeah, y'all might be immune to virtually everything. It's like them islands where if you go on, you're dangerous to those people because in Atlanta, everybody, y'all might have Ebola, y'all might have a little bit strains of everything, you know. And once them women rub up against you, you don't know what's in the sweat and that perfume and get on your skin. Yeah, this is all bad. Maybe
I've never met somebody made strip clubs sound so horrible.
No, they are. It's the loneliest place ever. This is the loneliest, worst place on earth. I went to Floyd Mayweather's. I've gone to all of them, and they actually are very aggressive now in strip clubs. There used to be a time where you could fold up $1 like a gentleman and put it in a G-string. Now it's like if you ain't giving them money, somebody might slap shit out you. Like a stripper might hit you or something and call you a name and put you down and all of that. At Floyd Mayweather's club, if you ain't got like a brick of money and making it, they will leave your ass over in the corner. And that's the worst feeling in the world, to be in a strip club in a corner by yourself and all of them are over on the other side like there's something wrong with you. That's the worst feeling.
Like you're a blank spot in the club.
Yeah,
like.
You over in the corner like it's something wrong, like it's back in high school where you ain't had no friends and you just over at the cafeteria table by yourself and it's naked people over on the other side of the room having the time of their lives. But I can still pay my mortgage when I leave.
Yeah, the Last of Us would never happen in Atlanta. We just look around like, what
hell no. That'd be a waste of a bacteria. Y'all would figure out a way to mix it up in something and smoke it. Y'all would figure out it'd be beautiful. Y'all would find a way, Molly, something. Y'all took cold medicine and made
what would
it
happen?
a drug.
It would be the new Freaknik.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. They'd be out popping it and everything, dying, and falling off cars. I ain't going outside. I'm not. I'm good where I'm at. I was almost ready to go outside and enjoy people.
He was gonna go. He was gonna hang with you, Jabari, and you just killed it. He's like, nope, I'm in my hotel room.
I'm good. I'm good. I stay in the
he'll
mansion.
He'll see you in the lobby at like 6:30. All right.
I stay in the mansion. Y'all got like 3 good hotels, and the mansion was cool. There's a couple of others. Y'all 4 seasons ain't, but really 3 seasons. Y'all missing a winter or something. But yeah. But the mansion is Mandarin Oriental isn't really that's not complete Mandarin Oriental. It's like one of them cheap dollar Chinese food places. It ain't the full. Wow. It ain't Kung Pao, it ain't PF Chang's or something,
This interview just went. I'm
giving y'all life lessons.
This is great, man.
Y'all life lessons.
Oh man, listen, we gotta have you on again, man. When you got something else.
I won't ever have anything. This could be the last night ever. Y'all, this is the last interview. It's like Tina Marie's last concert. This is the last time. I'm not feeling well right now anyway. So yeah.
Listen, man, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
I'm
literally gonna harass you now. Every time you got to take. Every time you got to take, I'm gonna give you my take.
Look, Dragon Con, you can do lunch, but definitely won't be at at Magic City. Definitely won't be Magic City.
I was hoping it was a magic show. I didn't know when this is Magic City. I was expecting a little bit more. The funny thing was they did spread out for COVID, and I'm like, I got everything now. I'm sure I'm going to die when I walk out of here. And they were like, no, we make sure everything's sanitized. I'm like, all right, you're sure.
You don't think they be in there just spraying?
Whatever they had spraying, it wasn't strong enough. Whatever they were spraying down,
they just bleach everything. That's all.
They got a dude now. They got a dude now at Magic City. They just wear a hazmat suit and they just hose down strippers before they go out on stage.
I would go. I would support that. I take
you want one of those mist machines at the beginning at the door where you just go in.
My days of strip clubs, like I said, though, that dollar. I wish we could go back to dollar days, like the dollar store strip club. Now you got thousands. I heard Earthquake say today he spent $4,000 a night in the strip club. I'm like, okay, I can't do that.
That's out of my price range.
No,
not built that way. Cinnamon's kids won't get rich off of me. Sapphire and them, if they still got them names, Trixie.
Man.
I appreciate their work. I appreciate their work from afar, but I can't contribute. I'm a Christian.
I was going to, you know what's so funny? Oh, man, forget it. We just going to have you on again. I hope you would grace us with your presence again.
If you get the rest of your Blockbuster card back or whatever, you watch some more movies.
No.
Bring up your movie game. Like I
go to Redbox?
Yeah, something. The Redbox ain't working. Like you can't. These off-brand horror films. I'll give you.
Sir, Dawn of the Dead. No.
I give you my Netflix password for a month, and you just watch the movie. You up in Connecticut, ain't shit else to do. It's cold.
Look,
they don't like you up there no how. You're in danger. You're in danger. Connecticut.
I by Dragon Con, I'm gonna get them on a couple of movies,
please.
And then we can come talk.
You know what? See, I was wavering on Dragon Con. I'm absolutely gonna be there now.
No,
I'm coming.
I quit. I'm telling them I'm not coming there because I don't want you standing there. Come on, man. Thinner was good. Thinner was good. Graveyard Shift. That was a hell of a movie.
Don't do that to me now. Don't do that to me now. Don't do that to me.
I can see it now.
No. Don't do that to me now.
Graveyard Shift. Let me see. And I can see you now.
Nah, don't do that to me.
I can see you now.
Nah.
But I'm gonna give you my password. I'm gonna type it in there for Netflix so you can watch some more horror films. I'm gonna give you a list. I'm gonna see whether or not.
But see, you don't even do you even like the new stuff that's out? Like, do you like Hereditary?
I'm not a big Hereditary. I've seen the Nun movies, the Insidious movies, the Conjuring movies. I've seen the Halloween, most of the Halloweens. I didn't see the last one.
Nah, I ain't either.
Most of the Blumhouse ones I see.
Well, I mean the A24. You don't like the A24 movies?
I didn't see Candyman. I didn't want to see Candyman because I knew it wasn't going to be Candyman. And I wanted to see Tony Todd one more time be Candyman. That's my Candyman. I'm that dude. If you don't make it connected to the thing that I've loved and you try to redo it, Very rarely have I loved something that was redone completely. The Thing, Dawn of the Dead. I did enjoy that movie, but it was an action movie. Aliens, you know.
But wouldn't you consider the first Alien more of a horror movie than the second one?
Yeah, that's what I said.
No,
I
you
said
said
the first
Aliens.
one. Yeah, I said no. I said of movies that I've
Oh, I thought you meant
like the
okay.
sequel,
Right.
like completely redo the idea of the movie.
Right.
What
Like
about Event
Alien
Horizon?
was a horror movie. The second one was more of an action movie.
Well, have you seen Event Horizon?
Yeah, I liked it. It was a
Yeah.
little weird near the end, but yeah, I liked it. I didn't love it.
Okay.
Basic haunted
Yeah.
house in space. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool, but it was all right. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, man.
All right, man. I
Thank
did my
you
part for the
very
community,
much.
Javon. And this is my community work. I can tell my PO. I did everything I could.
I
You know,
can't.
I did my community
I
work.
can't, man.
I work with the
I
brothers. I can go back to my life
You
now.
go back to.
I can go back to my life now. I just said I had 2 more hours left on my community service term. And then,
Well, we help.
nobody else.
We thankful that we helped you get to your limit. We
Thank
appreciate. That's what
Thank
we're
you.
here for,
I
man.
did
Gotta
my
help
work.
gotta help the less fortunate.
From this point on, if anybody's watching, don't ask me to do no podcast. No more. I'm good. Till I get in trouble, don't ask me. Carlos is not. He's gonna tell you no. Rodney,
Nah. Carlos is my dog. Carlos,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like,
No,
schedule
I'm
him for me,
already telling
Carlos.
No, I'm not doing this.
Schedule him for me,
I
Carlos.
refuse to do this anymore. I can't do this. There's other things to be doing. I live well. I keep telling y'all. It's a
You
lot
just
of fun
said you
things I
don't
can
live
be
well.
doing.
You
I
said
said
it. You said you
outside.
were miserable.
I said outside.
We
As
can
soon
run
as I
the
go
tape back,
outside-
sir. We can run
See,
it back.
You don't listen. This is why you like bad movies. When I go outside, life is bad. Inside, life is fantastic. I have a theater. I'm good. I'm surrounded by comic books. I'm good. But when I go outside, it's people like you that come up to me and talk to me about stuff. And they say things. I'm minding my business. I could be, hey, I go in the comic book store. You Rodney Barnes? Yeah, I'm Rodney Barnes. I'm quick. I'm trying to hurry up. Yeah, I'm Rodney Barnes. What do you think of, and okay, I know this is bad. I know this person is bad. But I got to be nice. Be nice, Rodney. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay, but I have one more question. Okay. All right. And that's when the sweat starts. I start transforming.
To what?
But the angry black brothers right there. I start growing out of my shirt. My shirt starts getting tight. My shoes get tight.
We turn into the
I'm
Hulk.
growing. Yeah, the bulk,
okay.
the incredible bulk. I'm just getting like at this point. I don't want to talk to anybody. That's the problem. If I could just push a button like Wall-E with the fat people and the little machines and they just floated around, if I could be that. But they keep making me walk and do things, talk to people. This is perfect. Zoom is perfect. I can push that button at any moment. Y'all would
just be like, I'm done.
y'all would disappear.
I'm done.
It'd be like it never happened. Be just like that. I don't have to think of Thinner. I don't have to think of any of those movies. Any of those stuff. I'm good. I don't have to train the bruschetta or whatever. I don't have to think of any of this. I can just go on about my life, see what's left on TV for the night, maybe Dateline, and then go to sleep. Have some iced tea and go to sleep.
That sounds like the oldest guy.
I love
Night
Dateline.
after.
If Keith Morrison, if I took a DNA test and I found out Keith Morrison was my real father, I'd be so happy. I would be so fucking happy. I would be the happiest black man ever. I tell Umar Johnson right now, I want Keith Morrison. I'm telling you right now. I just said, look, I'm down for the cause, but Keith Morrison is the greatest white man that ever lived. I would want Keith Morrison. I love Keith Morrison. He's the when I hear that voice, and it's a mystery, and but where was Cindy? And shit, nigga, I got my ice. I'm laid back in bed. You better not talk to me. You better not talk to me. I take right here. I get the little cup. With this. I swish it around. Shit, don't give me some chips. I sit there. You better not talk to me for an hour. And if it's an all new Dateline, you better think 2 hour all new Friday night 9 to 11 Dateline. Shit. That's happiness personified.
That sounds
right.
It's
a perfect life. It's a perfect life.
That's all
Perfect
right.
light. Only thing that interrupted is black men with questionable taste in hair. That's the only thing that ruined my night. That's the only thing. I have earned the distinction that y'all wanted to talk to me and said how great I was, and won't leave me in peace. Just won't leave me alone. He's great. Can't it just be objective from afar? He's great. No, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. I want to tell you what I'm thinking. I want to tell you what I'm thinking, Rodney. I got shit on my mind. I got opinions. Want to hear my opinions? Actually, no, I don't. Let me tell you. We have one thing we do on this show. We give people our opinions, and we want your opinions so we can question your opinions. What's your top 5? I'm like, as soon as you ask the question, this will be easy for you. No.
Hey, it took you a minute.
No, it did take me a minute, but it was like, all right, now I got to listen to yours. I thought I was free after that. I thought it was like, I was at, all right, the judge has said not guilty. I'm waiting for somebody to take off the cuffs.
Oh,
But
man.
no, I got to hear your opinion. Oh, shit. That started a whole new 45 minutes.
Yeah, that was on you.
I like the thinner, and I
I
like
like the thinner.
miss.
I like the miss.
And,
I like from dusk till dawn.
Thinner?
I will
That
fight.
Dusk Till
I will
Dawn is my
fight till
favorite.
I will fight to the white meat show on us.
I'm
That
sure
was it.
it's all, but you in Connecticut. You ain't nobody else know. There's nobody else to talk to. Nobody else wants to hear this. That's why you on Zoom. Your best friend is in Atlanta. You have nobody else there to talk to.
Oh
It's
man.
Connecticut.
I have not been roasted this bad in a
No, I'm
long
just
time.
saying,
That's
no,
all right.
I'm giving
That's all
you-
right.
Look, all right, fine.
I
I'm just
appreciate.
saying there's nobody else to talk to about this in Connecticut. When you go in the comic book store, you hoping that they have the new Jon Stewart book. You hoping that they have certain black books in there. No wonder they didn't have Philadelphia #1. You go into the wrong, you're in the Connecticut comic book shop.
I am in the Connecticut.
They ain't having that. They ain't no milestone. You mean
Oh,
Superman
don't
50?
do that. I'm not gonna do that. Hey, I'm not gonna burn my bridges.
Yes,
Sir.
this is true. This is me talking.
That's
I ain't coming to sign nothing in
the
Connecticut.
opinions being expressed right now belong to Rodney
I ain't
Barnes and
signing
Rodney
nothing in
Barnes alone.
Connecticut. Yeah, they're not bringing me Connecticut con. I'm not going to put up there anyway. Baltimore is the closest I'll come, and even there, I'm only staying for an hour.
Oh
It
man.
get dark in Baltimore. I won't make it.
Ain't that's your stomping ground?
Yeah, it was when I was 17. This is changed. It was changed. It was Freddie Gray's too. It was both of ours.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm over here crying right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right. So I want to get you so you can see Dateline.
Thank you, brother. It's taping anyway, but yes, thank you.
Thank you, man. Seriously though, I appreciate you coming on, man. I hope
Good talking to
It
y'all.
was good seeing you.
Good luck, Jamari. I see you at Dragon Con or Magic City, one of the two.
You're gonna be waiting a long time for him, Jamari. He ain't coming out.
He's not coming down in the
He is
lobby.
not coming out. He'll be
He's
there in
not
spirit.
coming to the lobby. He said he's
respect
in the room watching Dateline.
I respect that. I respect that. Forensic Files is good too if you're in a seedy. It's according to what hotel room you're in. The seedier the hotel room, the less quality mysteries that they usually have anyway. So Forensic Files, HLM.
He got this to a science.
I do.
All right,
All right,
man.
y'all.
Thank
take
y'all,
it easy.
everybody, for tuning in for this extra long version of a Stoked podcast, the Javon Roast. We appreciate y'all watching. See y'all next week.
Later, y'all.